Koga Daisuke, a 40-year-old man, is a typical Japanese salaryman with a passion for survival games. On an ordinary day, he walks calmly along a trail, lost in his thoughts, until he trips and falls to the ground. Koga Daisuke walks through a forest full of unknown creatures and plants, intrigued by the strange world he entered after passing through his closet. Unable to understand the local writing, he feels confused but keeps exploring. Amid constant surprise at the environment, he hears a strange sound. While carrying his airsoft gun, something that becomes his biggest surprise in that new world. Suddenly, Daisuke is ambushed by a group of goblins rushing through the forest at high speed. Despite their low intelligence, the creatures move in packs and with ferocity. Daisuke barely has time to react as he narrowly escapes a blow, confused and alarmed by the sudden attack from these unknown creatures. When the situation seems critical, a young warrior girl appears and positions herself between Daisuke and the goblins, wielding a sword with determination. She orders him to stay behind her, ready to protect him. Surprised, Daisuke obeys, still stunned to see such a young girl facing monsters with so much courage. Determined to protect Daisuke, the young warrior faces the goblins and declares that she will be their opponent. With surprising courage and strength, she calls power into her sword and charges at the enemies, cutting them down with precise and devastating strikes, completely changing the course of the fight. With precision and agility, the young warrior eliminates several goblins, delivering powerful and accurate blows. She moves confidently across the battlefield, taking down enemies one by one. Daisuke, watching everything with admiration, is impressed by her skill and bravery, exclaiming in amazement at the scene before his eyes. After the battle, Daisuke thanks her emotionally for the help. The young woman introduces herself as Lena, a traveling knight. Relieved to be safe, they exchange introductions, and Daisuke, still surprised by everything, asks to be called by his first name only. Thus begins the connection between the lost salaryman and the knight who saved him. During a moment of rest, Lena explains that she works exterminating goblins to protect nearby villages. Daisuke, admiring her skill and attitude, compliments her communication and even jokes about hiring her for his company. Lena notices the unusual appearance of his weapon, mistaking it for a talisman, and also comments on the different clothes he wears. Both clear signs that Daisuke comes from another world. Daisuke tries to explain that his weapon is for self-defense, but Lena believes he uses it like a talisman to strike enemies. Realizing the danger of the forest, she insists on escorting him to the village. Despite trying to refuse help, Daisuke is reminded that there is no shame in being weak, and that protecting the defenseless is a knight's duty. With that, he accepts the escort. Touched by Lena's sincere words, Daisuke accepts Lena's help, and together they set off toward the village before nightfall. On the way, they spot their destination in the distance, bringing relief. However, the strange behavior of the surrounding animals catches Lena's attention. With a serious expression, she suspects the presence of goblins nearby, sensing that something unusual is disturbing the forest. On the way to the village, Lena and Daisuke are surprised by a colossal creature emerging from the ruins, a gargoyle. Daisuke immediately recognizes that this is not a goblin, and Lena watches in shock at the size of the threat. The creature is a magibeast, a statue brought to life by sorcery. Now furious and ready to attack, Lena identifies the threat as a gargoyle and is shocked by the presence of such a powerful creature so close to the village. Determined, she states she cannot allow the monster to cause destruction there. Meanwhile, Daisuke, worried about both their safety, suggests fleeing. However, Lena's courage prevails. She is ready to face the danger to protect the innocent. Lena grips her sword firmly and calls for strength, determined to fight the gargoyle alone. She orders Daisuke to go to the village safely while she holds the creature back. With courage and precision, she charges and delivers a powerful spinning strike, showing her bravery again in the face of imminent danger. Lena advances with determination and lands a direct hit on the gargoyle, causing a strong impact. She knows this creature, created solely to attack humans, represents a terrible threat. In her mind, she fears what would happen if the monster reached the village, and for that reason, she is willing to stop it at any cost. Lena is brutally hit by the gargoyle and thrown with force. Daisuke, witnessing the scene, falls into despair, realizing she won't hold on much longer. Shock and urgency overwhelm him as he shouts her name, confronted with the possibility of losing her before his eyes. Even wounded and exhausted, Lena refuses to fall before the enemy. Determined to protect the village, she forces herself to get up, convinced she cannot be defeated there. Meanwhile, Daisuke understands the true purpose of his presence and abilities in that world. He was granted this power exactly for moments like this. When all seemed lost, Daisuke takes action and fires at the gargoyle with his weapon. The impact surprises both the creature and Lena, who watches stunned. Amid the chaos and surprises of this new world, what impresses Daisuke most are not the monsters or magic, but the power he now holds in his own hands. Daisuke reveals his special ability. His airsoft gun, which was harmless in the real world, transforms into a functional firearm in this new world. While Lena watches, surprised and relieved, he faces the enemy firmly, ready to fight, now understanding the unique role he can play in this place. Daisuke confidently reveals his transformed weapon, a fully functional Glock 17, manufactured in Austria, capable of firing 9mm parabellum ammunition. He highlights its lightweight polymer frame and combat efficiency. Lena watches in amazement as the gargoyle roars threateningly. Now armed with real power, Daisuke is ready to face the monster on equal terms. Daisuke moves with surprising agility, taking advantage of the Glock 17's lightness and practicality. While shooting with precision, he explains that his weapon is easy to handle and ideal for quickly reacting to enemy movements. With this, he manages to interrupt the gargoyle's attacks, hitting it repeatedly and turning the tide with his newly discovered advantage. Daisuke maintains his relentless attack, forcing the gargoyle to retreat before the unexpected firepower. Lena watches in astonishment as the monster staggers, something even veteran knights couldn't do alone. The scene is unbelievable. An ordinary man without a sword, fighting and nearly defeating a feared creature with just a weapon in hand. Daisuke advances firmly, wielding his weapons with precision and unleashing a devastating barrage of shots against the gargoyle. The impact is overwhelming, reducing the creature to rubble before his eyes. Lena watches the scene in shock and admiration. For Daisuke, what just happened can only be explained one way. It was the power of God working through him. After the victory, Daisuke rushes worriedly to Lena to check if she is all right. Emotional and impressed by his strength, she kneels and calls him Daisuke-sama, believing she is before the very god of war. Embarrassed for having treated him as an ordinary man, she sincerely apologizes. Daisuke, feeling awkward, denies the reverence and tries to explain he is just an ordinary worker, showing his business card as proof, although Lena cannot understand the letters on it. Still emotional, Lena tries to make a request of Daisuke but hesitates. He reassures her, promising to return once he finishes his work at the company. Confused by the term company, Lena wonders who that man really is. As Daisuke begins to disappear through a portal, he asks her to keep his business card safe, a symbol of the bond between their two worlds. Back to his routine, Kyoga Daisuke resumes the ordinary life of a 40-year-old salaryman, working in an office, having lunch with colleagues, and spending much of his income on survival game gear. However, behind the appearance of an ordinary man, he hides an extraordinary secret, the habit of traveling to another world right after work. 2 days before the events in the other world, Daisuke was participating in a survival game with colleagues, involved in an intense military simulation. Amid paintball shooting and playful teasing among participants, the game's end approached. Between laughs and provocations, Daisuke enjoyed the moment, unaware he would soon use similar skills in a real battle for his life. While celebrating his 40th birthday, Daisuke reflected on life. He felt as if he had passed his prime, but still carried the enthusiasm of a young man, especially for survival games. Amid laughter and teasing from colleagues, he acknowledged that maybe it was time to live for others too, not just himself. Still, he remained firm in his passion, showing that, despite his age, his spirit stayed vibrant. During the survival game, Daisuke is engulfed by a smoke curtain. As he thinks about how he has always lived just for himself, something strange happens. Suddenly, he finds himself transported to a mysterious place, celestial and with imposing architecture, clearly different from the game field. Surprised and confused, he realizes he is no longer in the real world. Thus begins his unexpected journey in another world. In the strange new world, Daisuke barely has time to process his surroundings when a gigantic winged creature, a fierce griffin, appears before him. Scared and shocked, he reacts instinctively as the creature descends with a powerful roar and charge. The game is over, and now his survival is real. Amid the chaos, Daisuke hears a mysterious voice saying he has been granted the power to fight. To his surprise, his airsoft gun transforms into a real rifle, an M4 carbine, loaded with real ammunition. Stunned, he realizes he can shoot in bursts of 3 shots, something unthinkable in the real world. Now armed with real firepower, Daisuke understands he is being called to truly fight in this new world. Facing the colossal griffin, Daisuke hesitates for a moment, doubting if his weapon would work against such a huge creature. But he soon recalls how much he trained trigger control during the games and decides to trust the M4's firepower. Firmly, he pulls the trigger, and accurate shots explode against the enemy, proving that even in a magical world, his preparation and courage make the difference. After the confrontation, the griffin retreats and flees, leaving Daisuke relieved but curious. At that moment, a smiling young woman appears before him who introduces herself as Crim, an observer of that world. She congratulates him on his impressive performance and calls him summoned, making it clear that his arrival there was no accident, and that greater revelations are yet to come. Crim explains to Daisuke that he was brought to another world, a place where she seeks experienced and strong warriors. Using the griffin to test him, she confirms Daisuke's potential. Modest, he tries to downplay his achievements, saying it was all just part of a game. But Crim corrects him firmly. His skills are real, and even more important is his heart. Someone who never ignores those who need help. Crim reveals the gravity of the situation. The world is on the brink of being consumed by chaos, and although she cannot interfere directly, she believes Daisuke can make a difference. She asks him to help anyone in need that he encounters on his journey. Daisuke, reflecting on his ordinary life and desire for rest, considers the proposal, recognizing that despite everything, helping others has always been part of who he is. Daisuke discovers that his closet now serves as a portal between worlds, allowing him to come and go whenever he has time. Crim explains, there is no rush. He can help the world whenever he can. Accepting the mission, Daisuke agrees to do what is within his power. As a reward, Crim promises to grant him special abilities to aid him on his journey. Daisuke receives his special ability, the power to transform any airsoft weapon into a real weapon in that world. As a final gesture, he gives his business card to Lena. Thanks to a spell cast by Crim, the card now serves as an amulet that will guide her to him, even from afar. Lena, moved, holds the card lovingly, recognizing the symbolic and magical value of the gift. Daisuke returns to the magical world through a portal, surprising Lena. She runs to meet him, relieved to see him again. He praises her bravery, reinforcing his promise to return. Lena, determined, asks him to accompany her, and Daisuke, keeping his word, accepts without hesitation. Lena returns to the village alongside Daisuke, being welcomed with relief and joy by the villagers. Rako runs to her, worried, but she reassures him, saying she is fine because she is strong. The entire village celebrates her return, showing how much she is loved by all. Lena explains to Daisuke that the village was being controlled by a Tamare, someone capable of commanding monsters. This man began attacking the village 6 months ago, using powerful monsters to loot the crops. Women were taken away and supplies constantly stolen. The villagers tried to resist, but were unable to face the monsters. Lena discovered the situation while passing through the village during one of her travels. Lena reveals that, in an attempt to save the village, she directly confronted Murdoch. Despite her combat skills, she was overcome. Murdoch mocked her strength and belittled her, keeping women as hostages and declaring he could do whatever he wanted with them in the village. His cruelty and dominance were evident, making it clear how difficult it would be to defeat him. Murdoch declares that in this world only the strong win, proclaiming himself the true victor. He orders his lizard men to attack Lena, who fights bravely but is quickly overwhelmed by the number of enemies. Murdoch, cruel and arrogant, states that he will make her his prisoner, just as he did with other women from the village, while Lena realizes she is surrounded and at a disadvantage. Lena admits she cannot face Murdoch's strength alone, and that so far she has only defeated his goblin henchmen. Feeling powerless, she pleads with Daisuke to lend her his strength. Despite feeling selfish for asking for help, she sees in him a light of hope from the moment they met. Daisuke agrees to help Lena with a gentle smile, promising to do his best. Surprised and moved, Lena reacts with gratitude. Daisuke is touched by her sincere desire to save the village and declares that, although he cannot forgive their enemies, he is willing to fight alongside her. Lena expresses her gratitude to Daisuke and promises the boy Rako she will bring his mother back. Determined, she prepares to face Murdoch, who is hiding in a mansion deep in the forest. With conviction in her eyes, Lena declares that this time she will succeed. Daisuke prepares for battle, loading his pistol with determination. Alongside Lena, he confirms he is ready and firmly declares it is time to go, showing total confidence to face the challenge ahead. Murdoch shows himself in his mansion, immersed in luxury and arrogance. Surrounded by women and drinks, he exalts power as a source of wealth and pleasure. At the same time, he displays his ability to control monsters and threatens anyone who opposes him, making clear how corrupted by power he is. Lena confronts Murdoch with determination, demanding the release of the kidnapped women. Upon seeing her arrival, Murdoch taunts her sarcastically, recalling her previous defeat and mocking her sword. Even so, Lena shows courage and firmness, ready to face the villain once again. Murdoch mocks Daisuke upon seeing him arrive, judging him weak and useless in battle. While the villain arrogantly provokes Lena and her allies, Daisuke remains firm. Murdoch prepares a cruel spectacle, but Daisuke is undeterred, ready to act. Murdoch orders his reptilian warriors, the lizardmen, to advance against Daisuke and Lena. With tough scales and weapons, they charge fiercely. Daisuke tries to flee in panic, while the villagers watch anxiously. Lena positions herself to face the threat head-on. Lena springs into action with determination, invoking strength in her sword and delivering a powerful spinning strike, the Turning Slash, which knocks down the lizardmen around her. Even surrounded, she stays firm in combat, blocking attacks with precision and keeping full focus on the battle. When Lena finds herself in danger, about to be hit by a lizard man, a precise shot hits the creature, saving her at the last moment. The impact causes general astonishment, including in Murdoch, who watches perplexed. The shooter reveals himself, weapon still in hand, ready to face the enemies. Daisuke surprises everyone by taking down the lizardmen with rapid, precise shots. To observers, it looks like powerful magic cast without incantation, invisible arrows to the naked eye. Lena is amazed by his strength, while Murdoch is shocked to see his creatures, considered invincible, defeated by a scrawny man. Panic and curiosity take hold. No one understands who this strange and powerful ally is. Daisuke confidently introduces himself. He is just a salaryman, head of the design planning section at the company Tukita. The revelation leaves Murdoch confused. He has never heard of this class and cannot understand how someone like that can overcome his warriors. Meanwhile, Daisuke remains calm, assessing that the enemies are below his expectations. Efficiently and effortlessly, he keeps taking down the lizardmen, frustrating Murdoch, who loses patience with his own soldiers. Facing imminent defeat, Murdoch decides to use a hidden card from his private collection. He summons an even more threatening creature, invoking it with a dark spell. "Oh, greedy ruler of the earth, devour as you wish." With a terrifying roar, the monster appears, raising the tension. Meanwhile, the lizardmen continue fighting directly, but the real danger now approaches. The creature summoned by Murdoch can change the course of the battle. Murdoch's summoning reveals his final weapon, a gigantic carnivorous plant called Man-Eater. The creature emerges from the ground, devouring everything around with its voracious tentacles, including the lizardmen themselves. Scared, Daisuke and Lena watch the chaos. The plant, endowed with its own movement and intelligence, represents a new level of threat, capable of hunting any form of life with brutal efficiency. Lena bravely attacks the carnivorous plant with her sword, but notices something terrifying. The wounds regenerate almost instantly. Murdoch watches with scorn, proud of his precious collection. Even with Daisuke's shots, the creature's tentacles keep healing without stopping. Amid the growing tension, it becomes clear conventional physical attacks are useless against this enemy. Lena realizes that ordinary attacks are useless against the plant because of its regeneration. Meanwhile, an ally explains that Kyoga's closet is connected to this world, allowing access to any item. Kyoga understands he needs an attack that prevents regeneration and, determined, reaches his arm through the portal, grabbing a more powerful weapon from his arsenal. Kyoga returns with a powerful weapon, ready to face the giant plant. Meanwhile, the monster continues attacking, causing chaos. The villain celebrates, certain of victory, claiming nothing can stop the creature until it devours everything around. But Kyoga's arrival changes the course of the battle. Lena is injured and concerns grow among the allies. Oliver shouts for her desperately, while Daisuke runs toward her, attentive to the situation. At the moment he tries to help her, something unexpected happens, and the tension rises. Daisuke protects Lena by shooting at the creature, destroying part of its regenerative body. The villain watches shocked, not understanding how his monster is being overcome. Daisuke then reveals his weapon, a franchise Spey S12, a powerful Italian shotgun, making clear he is prepared to face even the most dangerous enemies. Daisuke uses his franchise Spey S12, an automatic shotgun for military and police use, ideal for close combat. Although it has low penetration, its destructive power up close is immense. He unloads several shots at the carnivorous plant, showing mastery and precision. The weapon is so effective that nations have nicknamed it a miniature cannon, symbolizing its brute strength in direct confrontations. Daisuke discovers that the monstrous plant has a weak point, stem cells located inside it, responsible for regeneration. With this information, he and Lena devise the right strategy. The knight confirms the existence of the regenerative core, and with courage, advances to destroy it. A precise strike reveals the creature's interior, marking the beginning of its fall. Daisuke reaches the plant's regenerative core, and with relentless precision, aims his weapon directly at the vital point. Convinced the battle has ended, he prepares to fire the decisive shot, ending the threat once and for all. Daisuke fires directly at the vital point of the carnivorous plant, destroying its regenerative core. The creature collapses and begins to dissolve amid steam. The villain watches desperately, powerless before the defeat of his precious collection, unable to accept the monster's end. The villain desperately tries to negotiate his life, offering part, or even half, of the village's looted goods. However, the warrior remains unmoved. Ignoring his pleas, she strikes him with a precise blow, ending his threat definitively. The kidnapped women return safely, being welcomed with relief and joy by the village. Murdoch, the villain, will be handed over to the authorities. Rocco thanks Lena emotionally, who reveals she cannot stay because she is on a journey searching for someone. Lena reveals she is traveling in search of Oliver, the White Knight, the man who raised her and taught her to fight. Although promising to accompany her until she became a true knight, he suddenly disappeared, leaving only his sword behind. Lena still feels she has not become the knight he expected. Daisuke offers to help Lena look for Oliver, saying he cannot ignore someone in need. Surprised and touched by his kindness, Lena immediately accepts the help. Moved, he promises to return to accompany her once he finishes his current work. Lena says goodbye with gratitude, smiling softly and thanking Daisuke for his help. As she leaves, someone watches her with satisfaction, confirming that choosing Daisuke was the right decision. Back in the real world, Koga's co-workers notice a change in his behavior, now more lively and in a good mood. The encounter between him, a man from another world, and the traveling knight Lena marks the beginning of a journey that promises to change the fate of her world forever. Koga returns confidently to the fantastic world, now with a new purpose. Still dressed in his modern clothes and carrying a simple bag, he walks among the harbor residents who watch him with admiration and surprise. The arrival of an outsider who became a key piece in a much greater destiny. Daisuke returns to Lena's world, excited to see the sea for the first time in this new universe. At the busy port of the city of Cessanorma, he reunites with Lena, who welcomes him with joy and surprise. The earlier promise is fulfilled. He has returned, ready to follow her in the search for Oliver and the challenges ahead. While exploring the port of Cessanorma, Daisuke and Lena believe they might find clues about Oliver there. The intense activity in the place leads them to a flashy announcement, a battle tournament at the Colosseum, with a large gold reward. Seeing the opportunity, both realize that among the participants or spectators may be someone with information about the missing knight. Daisuke is surprised to see a real Colosseum, but Lena warns him about the dangers of the place, now dominated by gambling and bad reputation since the rise of a new lord. Despite the warning, while talking, a man suddenly appears and grabs Lena from behind, starting a new threat. A mysterious woman with an imposing appearance exchanges intense looks with Daisuke, creating a tense and intriguing atmosphere. Then he rushes to help Lena, who had been grabbed, and holds her in his arms with concern. She confirms she is fine, but the moment reinforces the connection between them, while the enigmatic figure watches silently. Lena, embarrassed, apologizes for grabbing Daisuke after being pushed by someone. He tries to reassure her, but both are visibly awkward about the situation. The tension dissipates as they go to the restaurant Sango's Eatery, where a juicy grilled steak is served, ending the moment with lightness and a touch of humor. During the meal at the restaurant, Daisuke praises the dish served, a juicy anlit fish steak, while Lena explains that it is a local specialty made from a large fish that swims near the surface. She offers the meal as thanks for the earlier help, and both express gratitude for the bounty of the sea and the land. The atmosphere is light and relaxed, with both savoring the food and exchanging sincere smiles. During lunch, Lena enjoys the food enthusiastically, enchanted by the flavor, while Daisuke comments that the dish would pair perfectly with ponzu sauce or Japanese sake. When she realizes she was smiling a lot, she gets embarrassed and asks if she looks strange. Daisuke, however, reassures her, saying it was the opposite. He found it adorable. Then Lena insists that he order as much as he wants, since lunch is on her. The scene reveals a light, intimate mood and a growing connection between the two. Lena discovers her wallet has disappeared, which alarms her. She recalls that the incident may have happened earlier, while Daisuke looks surprised by the news. Elsewhere, a mysterious woman watches a bag full of coins and a strange talisman, commenting that the knight must be well equipped, accompanied by a man with an unusual appearance, wearing strange clothes. Lena offers the precious talisman given by Daisuke, but is rejected for having no cash, since the place only accepts copper and silver coins. Daisuke tries to pay the bill, but the establishment owner refuses paper money. Frustrated, they consider using wireless transactions while observing the strangeness of the situation. Daisuke helps with the work at the restaurant, where the owner, an elderly man, praises him for his strength. Daisuke says he enjoyed working there and explains to Lena that he needs to find a way to get money in that world, since the economy is based on defeating enemies to earn rewards, which he finds strange. A man complains in the restaurant for being charged for a drink he did not consume. The owner defends herself, claiming the customer spilled the drink, and the two start arguing aggressively. The situation threatens to turn into a fight, but Lena intervenes to prevent the brawl. In the restaurant, the man with glasses confronts an aggressive customer, asking for silence so as not to disturb others. The customer reacts angrily, challenging him, but the man remains calm, warning about the imminent danger. Daisuke demonstrates his skill and preparedness by surprising opponents as he transforms airsoft weapons into real firearms, offering versatile and effective ammunition to face enemies. Meanwhile, his companions react with surprise and admiration for the strategy and firepower displayed. Daisuke uses rubber ammunition developed to control disturbances, causing intense pain but not killing. He dominates the situation with this weapon, surprising everyone with its effectiveness. Even injured, the opponents recognize his skill, and he shows humility by apologizing for leaving work behind. His companions praise him for his performance and luck in still being alive. After the battle, Lena and Daisuke are invited to stay on the inn's second floor until they can earn money to support themselves. Lena relaxes in a hot bath, relieved after recent events, while Daisuke decides it is time to return to work as it is already late. A mysterious woman appears, asking if Daisuke is a magic user. She reveals she is looking for Lena's bag, which Daisuke recovered. She taunts Daisuke, questioning why he does not try something with her like he did with the bandit earlier. The mysterious woman says she will not attack Daisuke because he is unarmed, but admits she likes his naivety. She then invites him to go with her to the Colosseum, suggesting there is something important for him there. The woman challenges Daisuke to fight against all the warriors gathered in the Colosseum and win the grand prize alongside her. Ashley introduces herself to Daisuke and invites him to participate in the Colosseum by her side. Despite hesitating, he considers the offer advantageous. Lena is surprised to see Ashley arriving at her home, revealed as the person who had stolen Daisuke's bag. Lena confronts Ashley to retrieve her bag, but Ashley refuses, revealing she now has a bigger plan to participate in the Colosseum alongside Daisuke and win a fortune by fighting warriors in a real battle. Ashley reveals the true challenge of the Colosseum, facing Dorgon, an invincible warrior since the beginning of the battles. While Lena warns Daisuke about the dangers, Ashley insists that defeating Dorgon would guarantee a huge reward. Lena reveals that the Colosseum is cruel. The residents themselves are forced to participate, and leaving alive requires paying 50 gold coins, something almost impossible. Ashley, however, downplays the risk, insisting a quick victory is enough. While Lena tries to protect Daisuke, Ashley invites him again to accompany her, creating tension between the two. Daisuke refuses Ashley's invitation to the Colosseum, stating he cannot trust her for hiding important information. With his life experience, he recognizes signs of dishonesty. Disappointed, Ashley walks away lamenting the decision. Ashley flees with Lena's bag, calculating the remaining money to reach her goal. Daisuke realizes he is late and needs to return to work, ending the situation abruptly. Lena reflects on how the Colosseum became a corrupt institution after the fall of the Kingdom of Ferdia. She wonders who would be able to defeat Dorgon again and surprise the new ruler Hildert. Meanwhile, she is praised by other customers, leaving her embarrassed. In Hildert's castle, Dorgon demonstrates his brutal strength by destroying pillars with chains, making clear the reason for his fame as the Colosseum's invincible opponent. Dorgon continues demonstrating his destructive power before spectators, while Lord Hildert watches satisfied. Subordinates report he is in full form, without side effects from regeneration magic, confirming his perfect condition as the feared berserker. Lord Hildert reveals his true goal behind the fights: profit. He manipulates warriors like Dorgon with spells and feeds the audience's thirst for brutal fights. For him, the Colosseum is the greatest source of entertainment and profit, and now he begins another lottery to select the next participants for the massacre. Daisuke witnesses chaos in the village when soldiers start dragging civilians to the Colosseum. An indignant woman protests upon seeing her elderly husband being summoned, revealing that the selection of participants was random and ordered by Hildert. The situation shocks everyone, including Daisuke, who realizes the level of cruelty involved. Faced with the soldier's threat, the old man's wife is forced to decide between paying 50 gold coins or handing him over to the Colosseum. Desperate, she admits she cannot gather that amount even by selling the restaurant. In the end, the old man himself decides to sacrifice himself and offers to go, being taken by force while everyone around watches indignantly. Determined to stop the injustice, Lena stands firmly and declares she will fight in place of the old man in the Colosseum. Her courageous attitude surprises everyone, including the soldiers. Lena reaffirms her decision confidently, declaring that she is still a knight and capable of fighting. Impressed, the guard accepts her substitution. Then, Ashley offers to help her, provided she gets half of the prize, leaving everyone surprised by her sudden proposal. Daisuke decides to accompany Lena, showing support and firmness in his decision. Ashley also abandons her work to join the cause. United, they commit to facing Dorgon and silencing Hildert, showing determination in the face of challenges. The Colosseum fills with spectators as the battle challenge is announced. Confident warriors gather at the participants' entrance, ready to face the feared tournament that will decide many fates. The fighters enter the Colosseum amid cheers from the crowd. Lena and Daisuke walk side by side, determined, while other participants exchange provocations. The audience roars, thirsty for blood and spectacle. The battle is about to begin. Ashley reminds Daisuke about her share of the reward, while mocking opponents with confidence. At the center of the Colosseum, the organizer praises the gathered warriors and announces the prize, 100 gold coins to the winner. The crowd cheers, the signal is given, the battle begins. The fight explodes in the arena, with warriors violently facing off. Lena trusts her back to Daisuke, who promptly takes the rear guard firmly. Back to back, both prepare to face the chaos, united and determined to win. The fight remains fierce, as Lena and Daisuke face a new challenger, Haribodius III, an arrogant warrior who shows off his sword confidently. With a powerful blow, he attacks, but Lena responds firmly, blocking and counterattacking without hesitation. The battle for victory in the Colosseum continues intense. Lena faces multiple opponents with determination, invoking strength into her sword. The opponents launch themselves violently, confident of victory, but she dodges with agility and counterattacks with precision. Amid chaos, her concentration does not waver. Every blow is firm, every step calculated. The crowd watches in suspense as she stays firm on the battlefield. Lena focuses her energy and releases a powerful area attack, knocking down several enemies around her with the Sonic Zapper attack. The impact is devastating, opening space on the battlefield and surprising even her allies. Lena shows impressive skill with the sword, forcing enemies to retreat. Surprised, they realize they have no chance against her. One of the opponents tries to flank her, but Daisuke acts quickly, protecting her with precision and opening fire to stop the advance. The enemies are stunned to see Daisuke knocking down adversaries with his firearm, confusing the attack with magic. He calmly explains he is using a Colt .45, a large-caliber weapon with great impact, leaving the combatants surprised by his power and unusual technology in that world. Daisuke impresses everyone by neutralizing an enemy with a single shot, explaining that his ammunition has a rubber tip but is still capable of paralyzing movements. The audience is shocked by his skill and unusual technology, while the opponents begin to retreat, fearing to face someone so unpredictable. As Daisuke and Lena continue dominating the field with skill and strategy, other combatants panic. Many give up upon realizing they have no chance against them, especially in front of Daisuke's firearm and Lena's technique. Amid the chaos, an arrogant warrior notices a group of hesitant fighters and approaches with a thirst for battle, ready to attack those he considers easy prey. When a warrior tries to attack one of the weaker fighters, the imposing-looking elf appears and knocks him down with a single blow. She asserts her presence firmly, threatening to face anyone who dares touch the defenseless. Then she surprises one of the young men by revealing she was looking for him, recognizing him by a simple detail, the scarf he wears. While the battle continues intensely in the arena, the crowd gets excited, cheering and betting frantically. Among calls for more action, an organizer encourages the audience to make their final bets. Some observers show concern for the fighters, but attention turns to the duo formed by the man in unusual clothes and the young knight, the favorites of the competition. Their reputation grows quickly, with everyone recognizing their skills and predicting an inevitable victory. Some opponents begin to question the threat posed by Daisuke, claiming he has not defeated anyone so far. They bet that in a group they could easily overcome him. However, when they try to attack him together, they underestimate his coldness and skill. Even facing the onslaught, Daisuke stays calm and dodges with precision, proving he is not an ordinary person. Amid the battle, many decide to retreat, fearing for their lives. Calm and calculating, Daisuke recognizes that fleeing is a sensible choice. With the weapon in hand, he makes clear he has the power to end the fight at any moment. Beside him, another fighter reinforces that giving up is also a valid option. Losing does not mean dying. The tension in the field changes, and many begin to abandon the fight. As participants panic, realizing defeat does not guarantee freedom, the elf urges them to run and survive at all costs, believing there is still hope if they escape alive. Daisuke, now armed with a submachine gun, advances without hesitation, surprising even his ally, who watches intrigued at the new weapon in his hands. Daisuke wields an American Ingram M10 submachine gun, explaining its advantages in close combat. The weapon, capable of firing pistol rounds in sequence, proves ideal for the chaotic situation. With agility and precision, he takes down enemies easily, demonstrating how the lightness and maneuverability of the M10 surpass even rifles in tight scenarios. Daisuke eliminates several enemies with precision, taking advantage of the power of his Ingram M10 submachine gun. While chaos dominates the battlefield, he coldly explains that the weapon functions like an automatic pistol, capable of hitting multiple targets simultaneously, a lethal advantage against swords and medieval armor. Daisuke surprises everyone in the arena with his skill and coldness in combat, gaining the admiration of the audience and tournament organizers. Recognizing his potential, the superiors decide to release a high-level opponent, Dorgon. The tension rises with the arrival of a new challenge. The organizers decide it would be boring to let Dorgon fight only one or two remaining opponents. To guarantee a spectacle, they immediately start preparations to release him. The crowd watches tensely as the iron gate lifts and chains are released, signaling the imminent arrival of a powerful adversary. The battlefield erupts into panic when a massive and brutal creature, Dorgon, bursts through the fighters, throwing soldiers into the air with crushing force. The impact is immediate and devastating. Screams of despair echo as the warriors, overwhelmed by fear, realize something uncontrollable is charging with fury. The only option is to flee. Before the giant Dorgon, everyone retreats in panic, except Daisuke. With weapon in hand and firm posture, he faces the Colossus head-on, challenging the terror that paralyzed the others. The tension in the air is suffocating. The clash between reason and brutality is about to explode. The giant warrior Dorgon enters the arena, astonishing everyone. His presence instills fear even in Daisuke, who is surprised by the size of the threat. The crowd cheers enthusiastically before the most powerful fighter in the tournament as the most awaited clash finally approaches. Dorgon takes action and starts attacking the competitors brutally, easily throwing a man into the air. Daisuke tries to react with his weapon, but to his shock, the shots have no effect against the giant. The tension increases as he realizes his technological advantage may not be enough against the overwhelming strength of his new opponent. Daisuke narrowly escapes a devastating blow from Dorgon, realizing the enemy is even more dangerous than he imagined. Despite the scare, he says he is fine, while spectators panic at the magnitude of the threat. At the top of the arena, the organizer urges the warriors to fight for freedom, even if Dorgon's strength seems insurmountable. With everyone attentive and tense, Dorgon asserts himself in the center of the arena as an unbeatable giant. The warriors around, including Daisuke and his allies, face him seriously. The question echoing in the air is clear and challenging. Is there anyone there strong enough to defeat the most powerful of all fighters? Dorgon roars furiously in the center of the field, dominating everyone around with his monstrous presence. The warriors hesitate before his colossal form as the tension grows. The knight, determined, raises her sword firmly, ready to face the unimaginable, even without knowing if this really is the legendary Dorgon. The warriors launch a collective attack against Dorgon, confident that their numerical advantage will be enough. However, the giant advances, crushing enemies with ease and spreading chaos. Fear grips some, who hesitate before the creature's overwhelming force. Meanwhile, the strategist remains calm and challenges the cowards to retreat quietly if they lack the courage to fight. The pointy-eared warrior advances determinedly, surprising her ally with her initiative. When asked if she would face the giant alone, she denies with a confident smile, hinting she expected support. With this provocation, the red-caped swordswoman jumps into the battlefield, joining the fight against Dorgon. During the confrontation, Ashley senses something strange but has no time to react when Dorgon unleashes a brutal attack. The dark-haired warrior is almost hit, but Daisuke acts, ordering her to step back. Without hesitation, he fires repeatedly at the giant with his pistol, trying to protect them and contain the threat. Daisuke checks if the warrior is okay and reveals that he had exchanged his ammunition for real bullets, believing they would be effective against Dorgon. However, the enemy begins to regenerate rapidly, thanks to a successful regeneration magic. Watching the scene, those responsible for the arena comment on the experiment's effectiveness and hidden objectives, while one of the authorities decides to immediately report the discovery to their home country. A new warrior, Heraboteus III, appears amid the arena chaos and directly challenges Dorgon to a duel. Confident, he introduces himself as the crowd watches excitedly, believing Dorgon will win again. However, attention shifts when they notice another unexpected figure approaching. The man in strange clothes. Dorgon is shot several times by the man in strange clothes, causing a stir among spectators. As the crowd cheers the turnaround, many show relief and satisfaction seeing the giant finally being dominated. Despite having been defeated before, the man with glasses remains firm, shooting without hesitation, and receiving the crowd's shouts demanding, "Finish him." Even after taking several shotgun shots, Dorgon remains standing, causing general astonishment. The man with glasses watches incredulously, while other warriors shout in shock at the colossal warrior's absurd resistance. While some despair, recognizing Dorgon's inhuman strength, others, like the man in the box, enjoy and admire the spectacle, curious to see how far the challenger will go. The aristocrat Alzalte Dormes summons Dorgon to fight directly against the man in strange clothes, that is, Daisuke. Surprised, Daisuke barely has time to react before being violently thrown. The elf quickly realizes that Dorgon is targeting only him and tries to warn him. Daisuke, however, stays calm and decides to act. With a plan in mind, he prepares to create distance and counterattack even before the overwhelming power of his opponent. Daisuke narrowly dodges a brutal blow from Dorgon and quickly repositions. Cool-headed, he aims his rifle precisely at the giant, ready to execute his plan with firmness and decision. Daisuke manages to knock Dorgon down with a precise shot to the head, overcoming the giant's resistance even after the shotgun attack. He explains that, despite the opponent's strength, a direct hit to the helmet can cause a temporary concussion, incapacitating him. His allies celebrate his skill and strategy while Daisuke prepares for the next move. Dorgon surprises everyone by getting up and continuing to fight even after receiving a direct blow to the head. Daisuke, surprised, tries to shoot again to contain the opponent, while everyone around is shocked by the giant warrior's endurance. Daisuke manages to knock Dorgon down, making his helmet fall. Everyone is surprised and impressed by the feat, celebrating the strange warrior's momentary victory. The participants and audience are shocked to realize Dorgon is not human, as his face is made of stone. The surprise increases with the confirmation that they had been fighting such an unusual creature all along, making the situation even tenser. Everyone discovers that Dorgon is actually a stone golem animated by life force. While the organizers decide to stop the fight for safety, the monster's creator enjoys the chaos. However, the golem regains its full strength, becoming even more dangerous. Dorgon reveals himself as a colossal stone golem, unconscious, with enormous strength and impenetrable defense. The monster advances brutally on the fighters, causing widespread panic. Soldiers surrender, flee in despair, and the crowd collapses, realizing they face an unstoppable creature. Even amid the chaos, the warrior refuses to flee and decides to face the golem. Motivated by the pain of seeing Daisuke injured, she attacks with fury and determination, while others hesitate between fleeing and fighting for the prize. The golem advances with crushing force, throwing fighters in all directions. In panic, many give up the fight. The woman reflects on Daisuke's defeat and his inability to escape. Meanwhile, the monster's creator enjoys the massacre caused by his creation. Daisuke regains consciousness after being knocked out. Realizing the enemy is a golem, he recovers while those around show surprise at his recovery and strange appearance. The villain orders the golem to eliminate everyone, starting a widespread attack. Lena tries to intercept, but is hit. Meanwhile, the enemy celebrates wildly, believing no one can stop his creation. Daisuke survives the attack, and, with a new long-range weapon, positions himself precisely. Determined to defeat the golem, he prepares his final shot, aiming calmly and confidently. Daisuke reassures his allies by revealing he survived. He explains he missed the first shot due to lack of practice with the weapon, but now, determined, promises not to fail the next attempt as he aims again at the moving golem. Daisuke prepares for a second shot with his anti-armor rifle, while the enemy gets furious, realizing his golem was damaged. Surprised by Daisuke's resistance, the villain orders the golem to attack directly to eliminate him. Daisuke makes his second shot with deadly precision. The powerful anti-matter rifle bullet hits the golem squarely, pulverizing part of its stone body in an explosion of debris. Daisuke's second shot destroys a critical part of the golem, which falls to the ground in pieces, causing panic among the spectators. The creature's summoner despairs upon seeing his creation collapse before everyone. Daisuke reveals that the weapon used is a Barrett M82, a .50 caliber anti-materiel rifle capable of destroying armored vehicles and helicopters. The crowd, surprised and impressed, recognizes him as someone extraordinary. The villain, furious at his golem being wounded, vows to kill Daisuke. The monster charges at the shooter, while Lena and others shout warnings. Calm and focused, Daisuke aims again, even as the creature advances rapidly toward him. Daisuke lands the decisive shot, and the golem is destroyed in an explosion of stones. The villain screams in rage while the crowd cheers. Daisuke's allies celebrate his victory, relieved and impressed by his skill. Daisuke, exhausted after defeating the golem, can barely stand. One of the warriors approaches to help him, surprised he is still fighting in that state. When the threat of more enemies arises, Lena and the elf stand beside Daisuke, ready to protect him and challenge anyone who tries to face him. The villain, consumed by fury and frustration, resorts to a last resource. As everyone watches in astonishment, he invokes the golem's power again, desperately shouting for the creature to resurrect. Even defeated, he refuses to accept defeat and promises to keep fighting until the end. Despite the previous collapse, the golem begins to reconstitute itself with renewed power, surprising everyone. The soldiers panic when they see it rise again. Meanwhile, some try to convince Hildert to stop the madness, warning him that his recklessness could lead to total destruction. Even warned about the risk, Hildert ignores the advice and insists on reviving the golem, a powerful creation developed by the kingdom's greatest wizard. Driven by anger and wounded pride, he accuses Daisuke of destroying the gift he had received from the king. Meanwhile, the reformed golem takes shape, more threatening than ever, shocking spectators with its imposing presence. In this scene, chaos takes over the tournament. Participants, terrified by the golem's resurgence and Hildert's violence, demand the event's end and immediate awarding. Hildert, consumed by hatred, ignores everything around, focused only on killing Daisuke. Meanwhile, Lena and the elven warrior prepare to face the enemy, asking Daisuke to trust them. Amid the tension, Heribatius III, the armored knight, enters the scene with a comedic pose, briefly relieving the mood with his eccentric way. Daisuke helps an elderly man escape the rubble, while recalling that only a direct impact weakened the golem. Ashley refuses to leave with the group, explaining she needs to take care of other people. While Ethan runs toward the exit with the others, Ashley remains firm beside Daisuke, determined to fight until the end. Ashley encourages Ethan to flee safely, reminding him that his mother waits for him. As chaos takes over the battlefield, she notices the golem is not attacking Daisuke by its own will. Lena then asks for help to distract the enemy for a moment, suggesting she has a plan, while Hildebert laughs, believing the others are just desperately fleeing. Lena concludes that since the golem is controlled by Hildebert, distracting it might give Daisuke a chance to escape. She decides to act, trusting Ashley to provide support. Touched by Lena's attitude, Ashley recognizes her unexpected courage and kindness. The two allies seal the plan with mutual confidence, ready to face the challenge. Ashley decides to resort to a method she clearly preferred to avoid. In a gesture of determination, she activates the power of her cursed seal, invoking her strength through a magical contract. Surrounded by an intense and powerful aura, she calls out, "Oh, cursed seal, I invoke you by our contract. Grant me power." The scene marks the beginning of a transformation or powerful invocation, signaling that Ashley is willing to risk everything to protect Daisuke and change the course of the battle. The red-haired warrior advances with impressive speed, channeling all her energy into a single attack. With a determined shout, she unleashes the Sonic Zapper strike, creating a powerful sonic wave that cuts through the air and violently hits the enemy. Surprised by the offensive, Hildert initially mocks it, but his expression changes to panic when he realizes the force of the attack coming from above. While Hildert, still enraged, searches for Daisuke amid the smoke, an imposing presence approaches. The ground trembles with heavy footsteps. Soldiers retreat in panic, trying to understand the threatening sound echoing across the field. A new dark figure begins to emerge from the dust clouds, causing even more tension among those present. Something bigger, and perhaps even more dangerous, is about to appear. From the dust clouds emerges a colossal figure with an imposing appearance and gladiator armor, paralyzing everyone around. Fear spreads among soldiers and spectators, while Hildert, Lena, and the others face, incredulous, the new threat that has just emerged. The arrival of the entity called Dorgon surprises everyone. Lena wonders if this is Ashley's doing, while Hildert panics at the unexpected. Amid chaos, Dorgon positions himself among the ruins, awakening fear and uncertainty about his true nature. Dorgon advances through the ruins, leaving everyone in shock. Lena and the soldiers recognize the figure, but do not understand how his presence is possible. The original creator, outraged, states that there is only one Dorgon, and he is the owner. Dorgon advances, destroying everything around, throwing debris into the air. Soldiers try to flee in panic as the creature roars fiercely. Chaos spreads across the arena, and everyone perceives the imminent danger. Dorgon faces the golem in a violent clash that spreads debris and shock among the spectators. Ashley watches determinedly, while soldiers and the original creator react desperately. She then runs into the battlefield. In the past, a village erupts in turmoil when a child manifests the cursed crest. The residents react with fear and prejudice, while the elders declare that the only path is to banish those who carry such a mark. Ashley, still young, is accused and labeled as cursed, being rejected by everyone. Ashley is expelled from home with hatred for bearing the cursed crest, symbol of an ancient elf curse. Isolated since childhood, she grows distrustful of everyone. She considers herself merely unlucky to be born with the mark and believes she will be discarded at the slightest sign of trouble. Ashley, sick and feverish, is taken in by a lady who treats her kindly. Suspicious, Ashley questions the reason for the help. The woman reveals her son was taken to the Colosseum and, with no news of him, decided to use the money she earned with great effort to help Ashley. The woman's sincerity surprises Ashley, who realizes she acts out of empathy and a mother's desperation. Ashley is shocked to learn that the elderly woman needed to gather 50 gold coins to save her son Ethan, something that would take years. The woman, however, shows she is willing to make any sacrifice to have him back, saying he is her only reason to live. Moved by the tears and devotion of the mother, Ashley decides to change her attitude and promises to bring Ethan back, impacted by the unconditional love she witnessed. Ashley vows to obtain the 50 gold coins needed, regardless of the difficulties. Upon leaving, she asks only that, when Ethan returns, the mother embraces him silently. In silence, Ashley reflects on unconditional love and thinks that, despite everything, there is someone in the world one must never let go, someone worth fighting for. Ashley uses an illusion skill granted by the cursed crest, creating a false image of the colossal Dorgon. The enemy, deceived, realizes too late he was fighting something that never existed. Exhausted, Ashley confirms to herself that this was her limit, while reflecting that those marked by the curse receive unique powers as compensation for their pain. Ashley reveals her illusion ability, capable of creating realistic projections of anything she has seen. While the enemy was distracted, all allies managed to escape. Furious at having been deceived, the adversary orders a golem to capture Ashley, threatening to crush her to death. Ashley, about to be crushed by the golem, thinks of Ethan and hopes he is already reunited with his mother. In her last thoughts, she remembers the few kind people she met and smiles, accepting her fate. At the last moment before being crushed, Ashley is saved by Daisuke, who appears shooting at the golem. Surprised, she recognizes him, while the enemy's debris spreads around her. Daisuke, wounded and feverish, returns to the battlefield and faces the enemy, ready to settle everything once and for all. Ashley, overwhelmed with emotion, questions why he returned despite being hurt and why he never abandoned her. Daisuke shoots at the golem with determination, but notices the destroyed stones repeatedly reassembled due to magical power. Meanwhile, the enemy watches and mocks his persistence, calling him reckless. Daisuke realizes that, from his current position, he can aim without moving, even risking no escape route. An ally notices a statuette inside the golem, the core that feeds it. Daisuke understands this is the creature's weakness, but the golem advances toward him, putting everyone in danger. Daisuke continues fighting the golem intensely. Meanwhile, the audience watches in shock. Many shout that Dorgon is not human, but a golem. The Colosseum's structure begins to collapse from the battle's impact, and people panic as they see something falling from above, desperately trying to flee. Dorgon believes he has won, arrogantly stating he destroyed the only exit and cornered Daisuke. However, Daisuke remains calm. Observing the surrounding structure, he realizes there is nothing left to support the golem's weight, a crucial clue for his plan. While a soldier asks what he intends to do, Daisuke simply says, "This is fine as it is." suggesting he has one last strategic move in mind. Daisuke finally reveals his strategy. He deliberately aimed at the structure supporting the golem's weight. The ground begins to collapse, causing the enemy to sink under his own weight. The golem, unsupported, begins to fall apart. One soldier realizes, "You were aiming at this from the start." Meanwhile, Daisuke, maintaining calm and focus, shouts to his ally, "Aim for the statuette. I know you can do it." The statuette, the golem's cores, is the real target. The enemy, desperate, slowly sinks into the debris and screams, "I can't move! I'm sinking!" The turnaround is in full progress. Victory seems near. Daisuke fires with deadly accuracy, hitting the golem's core directly. The impact breaks through the stone barrier, and the central statuette shatters. The golem's body begins to completely collapse, sinking amidst the rubble. Daisuke's shot destroys the golem's core entirely, causing the creature to collapse from the arena in an explosion of debris. He calmly adjusts his glasses as the rubble falls, and the Colosseum shakes with the impact of the fall. The stone colossus plunges from the top of the arena, crushing the ground with brutal force. The crowd panics, screaming and running as debris flies everywhere. The destruction is total, burying everything beneath an avalanche of rubble. Daisuke, exhausted and wounded, returns to the battlefield after defeating the golem, surprising the crowd with his courage. Ashley runs to him in shock, questioning why he returned instead of fleeing. Even having the chance to escape, he chose to stay. Daisuke admits he couldn't leave anyone behind, even in danger. Relieved to see her safe, he smiles. Moved by his courage and kindness, Ashley calls him an idiot, but with a tender smile on her face. Daisuke is greeted by a cheering crowd, acclaimed as the Golem Slayer. Surprised by the reaction, he observes the citizens celebrating the victory. The danger has passed, and his companion announces to everyone that the Golem was defeated. The crowd hails Daisuke as the Golem Killer, thanking him for saving lives. Embarrassed, he insists he is just an ordinary salaryman, but ends up being cheered as Mr. Salaryman. Embarrassed and resigned to the situation, he accepts the praise with a resigned smile. Daisuke is encouraged to be proud of his deeds, being reminded that the strong must support the weak. Lena runs to see if he is okay, and Daisuke expresses relief at seeing her safe. Ashley, however, warns that the group is not yet completely out of danger. The noble Hildert bursts in furious after the golem's destruction, ordering Daisuke's capture and accusing him of treason. However, his own soldiers hesitate to obey, leaving him frustrated and vulnerable. Hildert tries to maintain authority by threatening civilians and accusing them of treason, but the people unite in support of Daisuke, openly defying him. The soldiers murmur among themselves, and a messenger arrives with news that citizens have surrounded the mansion, increasing the pressure against the noble. An angry crowd surrounds the mansion, outraged by Hildert's government and demanding his removal from the city. They denounce mismanagement and the decline of their lives since coming under his rule. Pressured and cornered, Hildert is forced to retreat, while his allies convince him to return to his home country. Defeated and expelled by the population, Hildert flees hastily in a carriage, even leaving his subordinates behind. Furious, he swears revenge against Daisuke, the salaryman, promising never to forget the humiliation suffered. Meanwhile, the residents watch the end of his rule with relief. With Hildert's fall, the people celebrate their freedom, marking the end of oppression. Families reunite emotionally, and the promise made by a mysterious elf is remembered with gratitude. Meanwhile, some wonder where she went after fulfilling her word. Amid the celebration, moving reunions happen silently. The elf watches quietly, with a serene and discreet gaze, as the people exchange emotional hugs, marking the end of a dark period and the beginning of new hope. After Hildert's fall, the reward of 100 gold coins is divided among the allies. The elf keeps 50 as promised, while Daisuke, hesitant, agrees to keep the rest cautiously. With a sense of responsibility, he decides to hide them safely, already foreseeing future needs. While the companions discuss the fate of the coins, Daisuke is approached with absurd proposals, such as betting everything in the casino or handing over the money. Amid the confusion, the knight Haribotius III approaches and, impressed by Daisuke, declares him his model of honor and courage. Daisuke gives his business card to Haribotius III, revealing he is a chief of design planning. The gesture is interpreted as noble and confuses the locals. Shortly after, Daisuke tries to discreetly escape, but is recognized by doctors who insist on treating him, resulting in a comical situation as he is dragged away forcibly, even protesting that he is fine. Daisuke activates a kind of teleportation magic, surprising everyone as he suddenly disappears. He promises to return later, leaving the group with a mix of emotions: surprise, amusement, and affection. The elf woman smiles, intrigued that he still remembers her, while Lena realizes he took her wallet accidentally. Haribotius comments that Daisuke is truly an eccentric person, ending the scene with a comical and warm touch. Daisuke returns to his world through the teleportation portal, and to his surprise, or not, his wounds really heal completely. He celebrates, relieved, saying that always saves him. A colleague kindly reminds him to always come back to recover if he gets hurt. As he walks through the office, lively and healthy, co-workers notice his usual good mood, unaware of the incredible adventures he lives in another reality. Hildert returns downcast to the Gyrnia Empire, visibly shaken after his humiliating defeat. Entering the palace corridors, he is announced by guards and rushes to justify himself. Bowing with regret, he apologizes directly to the monarch, making clear the weight of the failure he carries, the golem's destruction and loss of control over the city he should have ruled. At the throne of the Gyrnia Empire, imperial officials confront Hildert severely. The destruction of the powerful golem, a weapon granted by the emperor himself, is attributed to a single person, a man who presented himself as just a salaryman. The court reacts with disbelief and sarcasm. A salaryman with strange weaponry and absurd power sounds too ridiculous to be true. Faced with humiliation and distrust, Hildert despairs, trying to convince his superiors he is telling the truth, but only receives the elite's scorn. At the throne surrounded by royal curtains, the emperor of the Gyrnia Empire orders the pursuit of the man who humiliated Hildert and destroyed his golem. He then summons the fearsome Black Knight Zol, a warrior of imposing presence and unwavering loyalty. Facing the mission, Zol bows and accepts the order without hesitation. As you wish. The hunt for the unlikely salaryman who challenged an empire is officially underway. A ship faces the rough sea as enormous tentacles emerge from the waters, threatening its safety. For weeks, mysterious and inexplicable phenomena have been happening in the region, causing panic and destruction. The danger intensifies, making clear that an adventure above the sea is about to unfold. She works in a tavern, serving drinks with friendliness and charm. Frequent customers praise her, enchanted by her presence, which motivates her to continue welcoming them joyfully. The young woman works at the restaurant trying to gather information about someone named Oliver, but so far has had no success. During the conversation, she is questioned about her relationship with Daisuke and the reason she is there, revealing that she lost all her money at the casino the same day she received it. The conversation reveals that Daisuke always shows up wherever the girl goes, which makes the elf believe she will reunite with him if she keeps going with her. While one worries about Daisuke's injuries and recognizes his effort for everyone, the other insists that he fought only for her and promises to comfort him when they meet again. While working at the restaurant, the girls are approached by a man who asks if they are looking for a knight. He claims to have been saved in the Colosseum by someone with sword skills, similar to Oliver's, but couldn't find out his name at the time. The information reignites their hope. The young man recounts that 6 months ago a group of bandits caused chaos in the city, but a knight suddenly appeared and defeated them all with ease. After that, the man was looking for a ship to take him to a dungeon on an uninhabited island, about 3 days' journey through the Cayman Channel. They discover the island houses a dungeon called Axdane Cave, known to be extremely dangerous and full of monsters. Despite this, the place also holds untouched mountains of treasures and powerful items. Because it's so risky, few dare to go there. The girls prepare to depart on a new journey, bidding grateful farewells to the people who have cared for them so far. One of the villagers expresses that he will miss them, noting that the place will feel lonelier without their presence. Ashley reveals that she decided to accompany the trip because Daisuke will be present, and also showed interest in Lena. Enthusiastically, she states she will no longer be bored. Lena, welcoming, invites Ashley to go together, accepting the new company for the journey. The group boards a large ship bound for the next destination. With sails raised and anchor lifted, the vessel sets off under the bright sun, officially beginning the journey. During the ship's voyage, Lena enjoys the sea breeze, while enthusiastically confirming her decision to go to the uninhabited island. The captain estimates the round trip will take 6 days, with a temporary stop along the way to ease the journey. As the ship sails, Daisuke suddenly appears aboard, surprising everyone. He watches the sea excitedly while Lena and Ashley run happily to hug him, showing relief and joy at seeing him again. Daisuke reassures Lena about his recovery, but the ship's captain points out that he is not on the passenger list. Daisuke apologizes and offers to pay the fare, assuring he brought his own food, bought at a convenience store, so as not to trouble the crew. The crew is surprised by Daisuke's food, having never seen dishes like his. Meanwhile, Lena reveals she might have found a clue about Oliver, observing the deck and reflecting. Daisuke enjoys the relaxed moment, taking a photo with the girls and appreciating the sea view. At dusk, Daisuke and the others relax together when Ashley suggests sleeping with him, causing surprise in Lena. Daisuke politely declines and offers a gift from his colleague. However, the tranquility is broken by a sailor rushing in, alarming the captain about a serious situation. During the night, something mysterious appears at sea, attracting the crew's attention. A sailor illuminates the darkness and reveals a creature with a threatening appearance. The captain, alarmed, identifies it as a monster capable of living outside water and warns of the danger of letting it board. The creature leaps toward the ship, causing panic among the crew. Quickly, Lena advances and unleashes a powerful strike called Sky Slash, cutting the monster's charge and saving everyone on board. A relieved sailor thanks her emotionally, while Lena confirms all is well. More creatures emerge from the sea, causing commotion on the ship. The captain commands all sailors to arm themselves and prepare for combat, praising the courage of the men of the sea against the monsters. While passengers are instructed to take shelter, Daisuke decides to help. Despite the captain's surprise at seeing the strange object he wields, chaos takes over the ship as it begins to dangerously list. The crew struggles to maintain balance, but the darkness hinders defense against the mysterious creatures. The situation worsens when they realize they are not facing several distinct monsters, but rather a single gigantic entity acting like a living hive, spreading panic among everyone on board. The terror finally reveals its true form. Emerging from the ocean depths, a gigantic kraken raises its tentacles over the deck, spreading total panic. The crew barely has time to react. The living legend of the depths is now before them, and the already unstable ship rocks violently under the colossal creature's weight. The battle for their lives is about to begin. The battle against the kraken intensifies. The creature is immense and tougher than any common sea monster. Lena's sword attacks barely scratch its tentacles. Her blade, which once cut easily, now seems useless against the thick steel-like skin. The captain warns everyone. The kraken is no ordinary monster. Chaos dominates the deck as tentacles advance from all sides, and the crew desperately tries to contain the beast's fury. The threat that sank countless ships is now here, alive and hungry. Daisuke tries to shoot the kraken, but the shots have no effect. Desperate, he acknowledges the weapon's ineffectiveness against the creature. Chaos intensifies on the ship as the captain shouts for no one to fall into the sea, warning that the kraken will devour anyone who does. The deck is in total turmoil. A young woman is thrown from her bed by the ship's violent rocking. Irritated and confused, she quickly gets up, blaming the captain and determined to demand an explanation. She runs through the ship toward the deck. Daisuke fires at the kraken using a more powerful weapon, but even so the attacks are ineffective at a distance. Lena thanks him, and another girl observes everything as she leaves the cabin, surprised by the chaos on the deck. The girl runs to the deck, faces the kraken, and feels repulsed seeing the tentacles writhing. The captain shouts for her not to leave, but she ignores him. Determined, she begins a magic incantation, wielding her staff. The girl casts a powerful fireball at the kraken, surprising the crew with her magic. The attack hits the monster, drawing everyone's attention on the deck. The girl boasts of her genius as a mage, revealing that the kraken is weak to fire. However, she collapses exhausted after expending all her magical energy on the previous attack, saying she will need to rest before casting another spell. The sailors use torches like fireworks against the kraken, praised by the captain for the effort. One character comments on the smell like grilled squid. Despite the impact on the tentacles, they fail to hit the creature's main body. One of the women warns that the monster is smarter than it seems and asks everyone to step back. While the group recognizes their helplessness, one man tries to shoot the kraken, which captures another sailor. Daisuke saves him at the last moment. With the ship beginning to list and take on water, despair takes hold of the crew, fearing they will all become the kraken's dinner. The captain orders them to find a way to defeat the creature and scolds the sailors for thinking about giving up. Meanwhile, Daisuke observes the situation and considers fire as a possible solution. Ashley decides to attack the kraken's main body directly, believing it is the only chance to cause real damage. Even warned about the risks and the impossibility of the task, she remains determined. Daisuke and the others retreat while she takes the risk. Daisuke wields a heavy weapon and prepares to shoot the kraken, even aware of the danger of firing at close range. Despite warnings, he aims directly at the creature, determined to act. Daisuke's shot hits the kraken's body squarely, causing a devastating explosion. The creature is violently impacted, with flames and debris scattered as he watches the attack at close range. The explosion's impact leaves everyone stunned. As the kraken recoils in agony, the crew wonders if it was magic. Daisuke explains that he used a multiple grenade launcher with incendiary ammo, capable of firing 6 consecutive shots and setting the target on fire upon contact. Daisuke's attack enrages the kraken further, which roars in fury and charges violently. While Lena protects Daisuke from an imminent blow, the others prepare to restrain the tentacles. The warrior asks Daisuke to repeat the previous shot while the group tries to buy time. Daisuke fires his grenade launcher again, aiming directly into the Kraken's mouth. The projectile enters fully and explodes inside the creature, causing a violent and incendiary detonation. Daisuke's final attack explodes inside the Kraken, which writhes amid flames before collapsing defeated into the sea. The crew celebrates, relieved and impressed by Daisuke's courage and skill, recognizing his strength and decisive role in the victory. 2 days after the battle against the Kraken, the group finally arrives at the island where Oliver was last seen. While the crew prepares to leave supplies and return in 3 days, Daisuke and his companions observe the mysterious island, ready to begin the next stage of their journey. The young mage confidently declares that the island's dungeon exists solely for her to conquer, revealing her ambition and adventurous spirit. Her determined stance surprises the others, marking the beginning of the group's new mission on the mysterious island. In this passage, Michelle, the young mage, proudly reaffirms her identity as a magic prodigy. Surprised that others have business on the island besides her, she introduces herself as the genius mage Michelle, demonstrating once again her confidence and striking personality. Their arrival marks the start of Trigger 13 dungeon exploration, suggesting a new phase in the group's journey. Michelle states she is a prodigy and masters all types of magic, which irritates one of the warriors. Upon seeing Daisuke, Michelle praises him for defeating the Kraken, calling him good for an old man. Daisuke formally introduces himself as Kyoga Daisuke and expresses his belief that they will get along well. Michelle reveals she is searching for Axtane Cave, located on the island, and assumes Daisuke is too. He explains he is just accompanying the others, and actually does not know how to use magic. Still, Michelle insists it's okay since she is a genius. Meanwhile, the warrior warns that the cave is extremely dangerous, and suggests Michelle stay out of the expedition. Daisuke and Michelle decide to explore Axtane Cave together, since it would be dangerous to go alone. Meanwhile, the warrior gets annoyed with the young mage's attitude. The group arrives at the cave entrance, and Ashley recognizes the place as the destination where Oliver had gone before, reflecting on the reasons behind it. Inside the cave, Daisuke uses a flashlight, surprising the others with the technology. Michelle finds everything very interesting and concludes that he is an unusual person. Ashley questions whether the object might be magical, but Daisuke explains it is an electrical tool. The group notices that the place is clearly man-made, contradicting the idea that it would be a natural cave. Michelle states that the structure was built by an ancient magical civilization, and that the still-functioning mechanisms indicate an important purpose. She speculates that the place might contain valuable items. Lena gets excited about the possibility of treasures, while Ashley finds ancient inscriptions carved into the wall, drawing the group's attention. Michelle translates the ancient inscriptions, revealing that those who seek power must pass trials to obtain a treasure. She confirms she can read the language and warns everyone not to touch anything. Ashley reinforces the warning, asking for caution. Curious about the test, Daisuke comments that these types of situations usually cause trouble in adventure movies. The group advances down the corridor when a metallic sound echoes throughout the place. Everyone notices a strange and threatening noise. Soon Michelle realizes she stepped on something, inadvertently activating a hidden mechanism on the cave floor. The group panics upon realizing that an unknown mechanism has been triggered. Michelle becomes desperate, thinking it is her fault. Despite the tension, everything seems to calm suddenly, and no immediate effect occurs, leaving everyone relieved, but cautious. Suddenly, the floor opens beneath the group's feet, making them all fall into hidden traps. The relief atmosphere turns into panic as they are swallowed by unexpected pits, caught completely off guard. The group plummets through slippery tunnels, completely out of control. After the fall, Daisuke and Michelle are thrown into a new unknown room, indicating that the trap separated them from the rest of the team. Daisuke and Michelle land in a different room after the trap. Both are fine, but realize they have been separated from Lena and Ashley. While Lena recognizes the trap, Daisuke confirms there is no way back. Michelle concludes that the group has been split into two. Michelle encourages Daisuke to move forward, trusting that Lena and Ashley will also continue. They explore the underground area, surprised by its size. Daisuke notices inscriptions on the wall, indicating something mysterious ahead. Daisuke and Michelle find a mural with mysterious inscriptions depicting the prophecy of an apocalyptic dragon emerging from the earth. A hero and his allies will fight it, but will be defeated until divine weapons appear to face the creature. Fascinated, Daisuke photographs everything while Michelle is impressed by the symbols. While observing the mural, Daisuke notices a peculiar symbol and calls Michelle, curious if it could represent the weapons of the gods. Michelle approaches to investigate, intrigued by the discovery. As they observe the wall, a strange sound echoes. Suddenly, scattered bones begin to move by themselves. Daisuke and Michelle watch, horrified, as several skeletons rise from the ground, armed and ready to attack. The group panics upon realizing the skeletons are enemies powered by magical energy, remnants of adventurers who fell in the dungeons. Lena admits she doesn't get along well with this type of enemy. While the others prepare to face the growing threat, Lena panics and begs the skeletons not to come closer, but soon finds herself forced to react. Despite the fear, she manages to land a destructive blow, crushing a skeleton's skull. Ashley, on the other hand, faces the enemies firmly, cutting down several with her sword amid intense combat. Ashley takes the lead courageously and challenges the skeletons directly, raising her sword with determination. While Lena remains terrified in the background, Ashley shouts bravely, "If you haven't had enough of fighting to the death, come to me. I will be your opponent," making clear she will protect everyone, no matter the cost. Ashley advances bravely against the skeletons, invoking strength through her sword. In a precise strike, she defeats one enemy, while Lena watches her with admiration and encouragement. Ashley firmly blocks a skeleton's attack, facing it with determination. Then, she counterattacks with a powerful blow, destroying the enemy with precision. Ashley eliminates multiple skeletons with a devastating slash, scattering bones across the floor. In combat stance, she challenges the next enemies, while her companion watches the chaos around, frightened. Ashley fights 3 skeletons simultaneously without hesitation, blocking attacks and delivering precise strikes. Her courage impresses her companion, who watches in awe the bravery amid danger. Ashley declares determinedly that it's enough to brandish her sword against those who threaten her allies. She continues facing the enemies, but the number of skeletons increases. Her companion is startled by the quantity and warns of the danger, realizing the skeletons are old adventurers who died in that very place. Ashley unleashes a powerful spinning attack, destroying several skeletons at once. Despite this, the enemies keep appearing non-stop. Lena despairs at the situation and suggests retreating while there is still time. Daisuke panics while shooting the skeletons, uncertain if the bullets are effective. Michelle remains calm and explains that sacred attribute magic would be more effective against the undead, preparing a spell to repel them. Michelle casts the spell Holy Wind, destroying 2 skeletons with a burst of sacred energy. Daisuke watches impressed, praising her skill. Michelle admits to being out of magic after using it all at once. A calmer Daisuke states that skeletons aren't invincible despite being immortal, reminding that they were once human. With that, he regains confidence to fight. Daisuke decides to use a grenade launcher, the same one that defeated the Kraken. Michelle worries about the risk of collapse, but he assures he can adapt the type of grenade according to the situation. Daisuke fires illumination grenades, lighting up the environment and making it easier to aim against the skeletons. With the room illuminated, he continues the attack, taking advantage of the visual advantage. Daisuke switches the ammunition to non-lethal rubber bullets. Although with lower penetration power, they ensure precision and impact even against small targets, helping to disperse the skeletons. Daisuke keeps shooting, destroying the skeletons with force. However, they discover the enemies can recompose over time, so they seize the opening to flee quickly. After escaping the skeletons, the young woman reveals to Daisuke that, despite being known as a prodigy, her magical capacity is limited by her body. Still, she claims to be able to use various types of powerful magic. Daisuke reassures Michelle that he doesn't consider her a liar. He praises her magic and states he believes she really is a prodigy, surprising the girl with his sincerity. Daisuke encourages Michelle to trust herself and her potential. Touched by his words, she smiles emotionally, hugs him, and thanks him happily, recognizing his kindness and support. Daisuke and Michelle enter a new spacious and well-lit room, admiring the environment. Soon they hear someone calling them. It is Lena, who appears relieved upon reuniting with them. Ashley is also with her, and the group reunites with joy and relief after the dangers faced. The group encounters a mysterious room divided by a wall with a small hole in the center. Lena tries to force passage, but the hole is too narrow. Then, a magical voice arises, announcing a challenge. To cross, it will be necessary to unite wisdom and will. It is the judgment of 2 minds. Lena and Ashley find a door, and suspect it is part of the trial. Upon opening it, a gigantic armored warrior appears, confirming that the challenge will start at that very moment. The group is surprised to see a giant armor emerging from the other side of the door. Alarmed, Daisuke confirms that this is the real trial they need to face. The armor attacks with brutal force, destroying everything around. Faced with the threat, one of the members panics and tries to flee, convinced there is no way to defeat the enemy. One of the warriors advances determinedly against the armor, but her attacks are ineffective. The enemy's defense is extremely resistant, frustrating attempts to cause damage. Daisuke considers using more powerful weapons, but fears this might cause the ruins to collapse. Meanwhile, the warrior notices that the armors do not have a visible core and are protecting something with their shields. The warrior notices a weakness in the enemy and quickly launches an attack. She destroys the wall with a powerful strike and then hits the robot directly with an attack called Sonic Zapper, causing a violent explosion. The warrior confirms she found the enemy's weak spot, the crystals in their bodies. As she advances, an ally instructs Daisuke to aim his weapons at those points. He recognizes the vulnerability and gets ready to attack, confident it will be effective. Daisuke prepares for combat wielding a CQBIR assault rifle, an M4 carbine with a modified barrel designed for close-quarters fights. He positions himself strategically and starts shooting precisely, ready to exploit the enemy's weak points. Daisuke hits the enemy's weak spot with accuracy, causing heavy damage. His allies are impressed by his performance. However, they soon realize the destroyed crystals are regenerating quickly, momentarily frustrating their advantage in battle. The heroes notice the enemy's crystals keep regenerating even after being destroyed. Daisuke keeps fighting determinedly, while a mysterious message hints that combining wisdom and willpower will be necessary to overcome the challenge. They run and attack again, now seeking a final solution. The group finally understands the key to defeating the enemies. They must attack the same point on both bodies simultaneously. Daisuke entrusts the warrior with choosing the targets since he can attack from a distance. Coordinated, they start the plan by aiming first at the left arm. The warrior jumps precisely and strikes the enemy's left arm forcefully, just as planned. The impact destroys part of the armor, confirming the success of their synchronized attack strategy. Upon receiving the signal, Daisuke acts without hesitation. With accuracy and speed, he fires his weapon at the enemy, hitting the exact pre-agreed spot. The resulting explosion confirms the success of their synchronized attack, pushing forward their plan to defeat the opponent. The group notices the synchronized attack worked. The enemy's arm changes color and stops regenerating. Daisuke confirms the discovery, and Lena immediately moves to the next target, the right leg, following the plan with precision and determination. Lena swiftly attacks the enemy's right leg, following the agreed strategy. Daisuke, attentive to the plan, prepares his shot to complement the strike. The coordinated action causes a powerful explosion, signaling that another weak point was successfully neutralized. Lena and Daisuke carry out another coordinated attack, destroying another crystal precisely. With the critical points finally neutralized, the enemy stops moving. Exhausted, the two heroes watch the inert metal giant, relieved to have finally won. With all enemies apparently defeated, the heroes watch the robot's chest open, revealing what seems to be the final core. Excited, the boy identifies the piece and encourages Daisuke to complete the mission. Daisuke approaches cautiously, ready to act against the unexpected. As they get closer to the final core, a trap activates, and an energy explosion hits the group, throwing everyone away. Lena and her ally are surprised by the attack's power, realizing this core is much tougher and more dangerous than the previous ones. With the situation worsening and the ceiling about to collapse, Daisuke orders Michelle to move away for safety while he tries to distract the enemy. Lena is hit but resists. Concerned, Daisuke asks if she's okay and decides to face the challenge alone to end the fight once and for all. Daisuke charges directly at the final core with a decisive blow. A violent explosion occurs, destroying the robot completely. Fragments fly as Michelle watches, shocked and worried, shouting Daisuke's name amid smoke and debris. Facing the glowing core, Daisuke stays calm and firmly points his weapon. At a decisive moment, he declares the battle over with conviction, ready to fire the final shot that will end the conflict once and for all. With a precise shot, Daisuke destroys the final core, ending the battle with a devastating explosion. Lena and the elf celebrate the victory. Relieved, Michelle runs to them, glad to see them safe. As they celebrate, something on the walls begins to change, catching the group's attention. With victory assured, a secret passage opens in the wall. The group approaches curiously, while Lena wonders if Oliver made it there. The message at the site states, "Only those who pass the trials may proceed." Daisuke reassures Lena, confident they will find clues about their friend's whereabouts in the next challenge. The group moves forward along the new path and comes across impressive murals on the temple walls. While observing images that seem to depict the monsters of the place, the boy reveals he was searching for a legendary piece of equipment mentioned in old adventurer records. This item is said to be hidden in the depths of the dungeon. Her individual journey begins now, driven by courage and the trust of her companions. Before a sacred altar, the young man finally finds the object of his quest, a legendary magical cloak. He reveals that this equipment has the power to transform him into a true genius mage, the goal that motivated him to face all the dangers of that dungeon. As they advance through the temple, Lena wonders if Oliver would have taken that path. The group finds a new door and enters a circular room with several exits, with no clear clues about Oliver's whereabouts. The group notices that several different tunnels converge into that circular room, indicating it might be the final destination of the dungeon. While Daisuke reflects on the importance of the place, the elf catches everyone's attention by discovering something ahead, leading them to quickly climb the stairs. At the top of the staircase, the group encounters a room full of weapons, armors, and magical artifacts. Lena observes, surprised at the vast treasure before them, an impressive collection that seems to hold legendary and possibly dangerous equipment. The boy reveals that the place is the sacred vault of the Axtane Cave, mentioned in ancient records as a treasure of magical items. The group is amazed to discover that each object has unique effects and attributes. While the elf dreams of selling everything, the others explore the weapons and relics, impressed by the power concentrated in that place. Excited by the discovery, the group members begin experimenting with the artifacts. Lena chooses a magical necklace that, when it reacts with her power, transforms into a jewel shield. Surprised by its lightness and beauty, she instinctively activates the item, making it float and shine before everyone. Excited, Daisuke tries to activate a magical staff using fanciful phrases and dramatic gestures. However, nothing happens. The boy comments that it seems to have no magical power at all, while the others watch the scene with curiosity and amusement. Michelle has fun testing a magical whip, knocking items around her with ease. The object is described as a whip that sticks to anything desired. Confident and excited, she wonders if she has a natural talent for using it, proudly showing off her new acquisition. The boy explains that he is searching for a special magical item mentioned in ancient records, different from the common artifacts around. Ashley teases him, suggesting he might not even be able to use something so powerful. Despite the joke, the group decides to unite to help him find the legendary equipment. The boy hears a mysterious voice calling the chosen ones to seek its power. Intrigued, he notices a staircase that wasn't there before. Convinced he has finally found what he was looking for, he heads toward the place, believing his destiny lies just ahead. Michelle points to a wall, firmly stating that the item she seeks is beyond it. Surprised, the others don't see anything unusual there. While she insists, they speculate about a hidden mechanism, trying to understand what only she seems to perceive. Michelle runs toward the wall and suddenly begins to float in the air, surprising everyone. Without understanding how, the group watches in disbelief as she levitates. Ashley believes she discovered something important, and all pay close attention to what will happen next. As Michelle disappears through a secret passage, a trap is triggered. The group is shocked by a door bursting open and revealing a huge monster with multiple serpent heads, menacing and ready to attack. The group panics upon seeing the monster emerge. The boy immediately recognizes the creature, a hydra, a legendary being known for its extreme danger. Lena warns the others that this is no ordinary monster, signaling that they are about to face a threat on a completely different level. The hydra attacks violently, knocking down Daisuke. The group realize this challenge is another trial, as Michelle had mentioned. While the boy urges everyone to flee, Lena steps forward with determination, telling Michelle to move on while they face the creature. The group decides to fight the hydra right there to prevent it from chasing Michelle. Despite hesitation, she is encouraged to keep going, reminded of her dream to become a true mage. With courage, the friends assure her she can trust them to handle the danger. With confidence and firmness, Daisuke declares they will not lose. Wielding his weapon with determination, he inspires Michelle to move forward. Moved by her friend's courage, she rushes toward the tunnel, her eyes full of conviction. The hydra roars fiercely and charges at the group. Daisuke, Lena, and Ashley position themselves together, ready to face the monster with everything they have. Determined, they show bravery in the face of the looming threat. The decisive battle is about to begin. Michelle runs determinedly through the secret tunnel, resolved to reach the goal she has long sought. While her friends fight the hydra in a fierce battle, she declares with conviction that she will become a true genius mage. With a heavy heart, she promises to return for them and asks them to wait. As Michelle advances determinedly through the tunnel, Ashley confirms with her companion that their real goal there is to prevent the monster from interfering with her path. Despite the confidence shown, a doubt lingers. Is it really right to let her go alone? The tension rises, but everyone stays firm, protecting what they believe to be their friend's destiny. While Michelle advances alone through the tunnel in search of her destiny, her companions prepare to face the danger. With confidence, one of them states that Michelle will not fail. Encouraged by their faith in their friend, the warriors launch into battle, determined to protect her at all costs. With courage in their eyes and weapons in hand, they move forward, shouting in unison, "Charge!" As Michelle follows her path determinedly, her allies bravely confront the monster. The blonde warrior attacks precisely, delivering a powerful strike with her sword against one of the Hydra's heads. The other elf fighter also engages quickly, skillfully using her blades to contain the creature. The battle is intense, and every move shows the group's firm resolve to protect Michelle at any cost. Ashley attacks with precision, using her magical whip, confidently aiming at one of the Hydra's heads and hitting it squarely, causing an explosion. She celebrates the hit enthusiastically, but is quickly surprised by another head emerging beside her. Before she can react, her companion shouts a warning, "To your left, Ashley," revealing that the danger is far from over. Daisuke intervenes precisely, firing at the Hydra's head, threatening Ashley and saving her at the last moment. He asks worriedly if she is okay, while calmly reloading his weapon. Ashley, relieved, calls out to him gratefully. Seeing the effectiveness of the attack, she comments with admiration on the power of the weapon, recognizing how much it made a difference in the fight. Daisuke proudly presents his weapon, the Winchester M73. He explains it is a lever-action rifle developed during the American Pioneer era. He highlights its fame and efficiency, mentioning that, besides allowing quick reloads, it was a weapon that dominated the West. With confidence and precision, he fires again at the enemy, demonstrating the legendary rifle's full effectiveness. Daisuke continues his attack with determination, shooting accurately at the approaching threat. Even facing a terrifying monster, he stays calm and reveals he does not rely on a single weapon. In a bold gesture, he draws a second weapon, showing his readiness and versatility in combat. His confidence and preparedness impress his allies, reinforcing his image as a reliable warrior amid the chaos. While the group fiercely battles the Hydra, Daisuke remains steady, clearing the way with accurate shots to protect Michelle's advance. He promises not to let the monster block her path. Meanwhile, Michelle, still breathless, continues her determined run through the corridor, driven by her companion's trust and her own promise to become a true genius mage. Michelle finally reaches the sacred room housing magical equipment from the past, created with the highest technology of antiquity. She immediately recognizes the place described in books, a legendary arsenal with magnificent armor and weapons. Ecstatic, she identifies the item she seeks, the magical equipment created by the great mage Domar, but notices some sets are missing, suggesting others may have passed through before. Even so, she knows she is closer to her goal. As Michelle prepares to return with the legendary equipment, she is surprised by an unexpected contact. The magical suit created by Domar grabs her arm. Suddenly, a presence manifests. It is Domar himself, revealing he sealed his soul in that equipment, waiting for a compatible body to revive. Michelle, stunned, listens and understands the spirit's words, even without fully grasping what is happening. The situation becomes even more mysterious, and she realizes her challenge is just beginning. Michelle is suddenly attacked by the magical suit possessed by Domar. As her magical energy begins to be drained, she resists with all her strength. Domar reveals his intention to be reborn using her body, promising she will not die but will lose consciousness. Michelle refuses to give in, rejecting being used as a vessel. Daisuke fires at the monster, successfully weakening it. Ashley raises a magical shield to protect the group while preparing the final counterattack. Encouraged by the advantage, she moves in for the decisive strike, determined to defeat the creature once and for all. Ashley delivers her special move, the Wave Slasher, in a powerful arc of energy. The blade hits the giant serpent's neck squarely, cutting with precision and devastating force. Ashley manages to decapitate one of the serpent's heads, drawing cheers from Lena and the elf warrior. Daisuke holds Lena, trying to calm her, while the monster, though injured, starts to move strangely, drawing everyone's attention. To the group's despair, the regenerated serpent's head reappears before them, and even the creature's other wounds begin to close. Faced with this revelation, the heroes are shocked and wonder how they can defeat an enemy that regenerates so quickly. Daisuke realizes his Winchester is not enough to defeat the monster, since it can only destroy one head at a time, and they regenerate quickly. He then remembers a special weapon, an anti-material rifle, powerful enough to effectively attack the creature, preventing its regeneration. Hope resurfaces as he recalls buying that weapon with his winter bonus and keeping it at home. Daisuke returns with his special rifle, preparing to use his secret weapon. He positions it with determination as the enemy approaches. The scene indicates the next attack will be decisive, and tension rises with the loading of the powerful armament. Daisuke activates his powerful anti-tank weapon, generating intense energy as the cannon readies to fire. He steadies himself, aiming at the approaching monster. The weapon's legs dig into the ground, stabilizing the equipment for the decisive shot. The tension reaches its peak. While Daisuke carefully and concentratively prepares his heavy weapon, his companions realize he is planning something crucial. Confident in his plan, they decide to face the creature to buy time, forming a determined defense line to protect him until he completes the shot's preparation. With his special weapon finally set, Daisuke takes a determined stance and fires with full force. The impact is overwhelming, sweeping everything in its path, in an attempt to eliminate the creature once and for all. The warrior tries to hold back the serpent's advance with her whip, but realizes her weapon is not enough to restrict the creature's movements. Determined, she decides to resort to an ancient and powerful skill she hasn't used in a long time. As the multi-headed creature advances furiously, one of the warriors attacks with a swift strike, cutting one of the beast's heads. Determined and without hesitation, she launches into another attack, focused on weakening the colossal enemy. One of the warriors strikes with her magical whip, while a mysterious artifact suddenly begins to glow. Surprise takes hold of the group, raising suspicions that the object might be cursed or about to activate some hidden power. Amid the confusion, a mysterious rat appears among the scattered treasures, displaying a peculiar mark on its forehead. The unexpected presence of the animal startles one of the characters, who reacts in shock upon noticing something unusual happening with the glowing artifact. While the young woman struggles to resist, her mana begins to be drained by a powerful entity. During this process, the entity explains that mana is a free energy in the environment, used according to the body's capacity to store it. It states that a mage's quality depends on their equipment and the efficiency with which they convert mana, a decisive factor in combat. The young woman continues being dominated by the entity, which relentlessly absorbs her mana. At the same time, the creature reveals details about how mana manipulation works. It is a natural resource of the environment, usable only according to the mage's capacity to store it. According to the explanation, a mage's strength depends on their equipment and their mana conversion rate, factors that define their efficiency and power in battle. The enemy shows surprise upon realizing the girl is still standing even after exhausting so much magical power. It concludes that the girl must have stored a mana reserve in her equipment to remain conscious. However, the young woman reveals she is actually the complete opposite. Instead of depending on accumulated mana, she can stay active even when she should have fainted. Her resistance and energy seem to defy conventional magic rules, leaving the opponent unsettled. The girl reveals a surprising secret. Since birth, she has only managed to gather small amounts of magical power, having the worst possible mana conversion rate. However, she compensates for this weakness with a special bodily ability that allows her to absorb large amounts of mana directly from the surrounding environment. This unique gift lets her use a massive amount of magical energy, even without storing it beforehand in her body. The girl reveals that, even with the worst possible mana conversion rate, her body never runs out of magical power, because it is impossible to eliminate all the mana around her. This ability makes her practically inexhaustible in combat. The enemy, surprised and overwhelmed by the energy it absorbed from her, begins to feel side effects and realize it needs to kill her as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the girl confronts it confidently, highlighting that now it is the one left speechless. The girl raises a magical barrier with the spell Light Wall, creating a powerful defense around her. For the first time, she feels she can use any magic, something she couldn't before. Amazed by the sensation, she realizes how much her magical capacity has increased, a result of her unique affinity to absorb mana from the environment. The situation turns in her favor, revealing her true potential. Lena runs desperately beside her allies as enemy hordes advance without stopping. Despite her efforts, she shouts that it's useless. There is no end to them. The bespectacled young man rushes to prepare his weapon, focused and determined, while a small creature, likely a magical companion, stays beside Lena. The situation grows increasingly critical, and survival depends on every second they gain. Lena runs with determination, asking the young man to continue his work while she tries to hold them back. Surrounded by danger, she faces the monsters without hesitation. An attack almost hits her, but she narrowly dodges. When all seems lost, a spell is cast to protect the group, preventing them from being devoured by the giant creature. The monstrous creature is hit by a powerful explosion, stopping its imminent attack on Lena. The impact surprises everyone, leaving the young man and Lena momentarily stunned. As the smoke clears, a new threat appears, revealing the battle is far from over. The creature is hit by a series of explosions that make it retreat amid smoke and destruction. While Lena watches the attack, a new character casts a powerful spell, summoning lightning directly from the atmosphere to strike the enemy. Tension rises as the fight intensifies. A powerful lightning bolt hits the multi-headed creature, causing a devastating explosion. As the smoke spreads, a female figure descends from the sky, showing confidence and energy. Upon touching the ground, she introduces herself, revealing she has arrived to reinforce the fight. The young mage finally reveals herself with a confident smile. Standing firm and full of charisma, she introduces herself as Michelle, the prodigy mage admired by all, marking her triumphant official entry into the battle. Michelle is warmly welcomed by her companions, who celebrate her return and congratulate her. She confirms having found what she was looking for and thanks everyone emotionally for their support. However, the threat is not over yet. The Hydra approaches again, forcing the group to stay focused. Michelle takes the lead and asks everyone to trust her from now on. Facing the Hydra's threat, she states this battle is her personal trial. Determined to prove her worth as a true genius mage, she prepares to unleash all her power against the creature. Michelle reveals she can now gather magical power thanks to the magical equipment Lai Domar. She explains the Hydra has the unique ability to continuously attack with its 7 heads and regenerate rapidly, making it a formidable threat. Even so, Michelle remains confident in the challenge. Ashley, the talking rat, surprises everyone by warning Michelle about the Hydra's extremely fast regeneration. He reveals he was transformed by a cursed item. Michelle, still focused on the battle, promises to try to reverse the curse later. Meanwhile, she asks everyone to stay away, as she intends to overload the Hydra with her magic until it can no longer regenerate. Michelle begins launching her powerful magical attack against the Hydra. She summons ice arrows to pierce the creature, using the ice arrow magic at full strength, aiming to prevent its regeneration. The offensive strikes the Hydra directly, starting the decisive counterattack. Michelle protects Daisuke from a Hydra attack, intervening in time with her magic. Determined, she prepares a new spell, summoning the wind to turn it into infinite blades. With courage, she declares she will not let her friends get hurt. Michelle casts the powerful spell Wind Slasher, severely wounding the Hydra with blades of wind. Everyone watches impressed, recognizing she is finally showing all her true power. Michelle notices that, despite the Hydra's rapid regeneration, her attacks are having an effect. However, she also notices her staff measuring the remaining magic. Determined to finish the fight before running out of energy, she activates a speed-up spell to increase her velocity and end the battle quickly. Michelle advances at extreme speed, determined to attack the Hydra up close. Running over the creature's bodies, she raises her staff and prepares a powerful fire spell, ready to incinerate her enemy from close range with full intensity. Michelle casts the powerful spell Hell Flare directly onto the Hydra, creating a fiery explosion of great impact. Her companions watch, surprised by the power demonstrated, but also worried about her safety. Despite exhaustion and the intensity of the attack, Michelle remains determined, facing the creature firmly. Even after suffering devastating attacks, the Hydra surprises everyone by hardening its body right after being injured, nullifying the effects of regeneration. Lena notices something strange and tries to warn the others, as the creature begins to move with a new kind of threat. Michelle watches carefully, ready to react. Michelle watches in shock as the Hydra begins a process of evolution, taking on an even more threatening form. Given the size and new appearance of the creature, she realizes the situation has become even more dangerous. At that moment, a mysterious figure appears among the monster's heads, calling Michelle foolish, while the name Lai Domar echoes with surprise. Michelle is surprised to discover the Hydra can counterattack her spells. A voice reveals that, besides regeneration, the monster also adapts its body to the attacks it receives, making it worthy of the legends. The Hydra has 7 heads, but only one is real, and Michelle's failure to focus on that main head could lead to her defeat. Michelle tries to unleash a powerful burst of fire against the Hydra, but the attack is useless. The creature easily repels the spell, proving that this type of magic is ineffective against it. Still, Michelle insists she has other spells, but realizes, to her despair, that she has run out of magical energy. With no magic left, Michelle attempts one last spell, but is brutally hit by the Hydra's attack. The impact throws her far away, leaving her severely wounded. Her companions scream in despair as they see her defeated, while the creature asserts itself with even more power. In a flashback, Michelle recalls a conversation with her sister where she vents her frustration at not being able to become a true mage. Feeling useless due to her physical limitation in gathering magical power, she compares herself negatively to her sister. However, her sister, already ill and aware of her terminal condition, encourages her with firm words, saying she can still choose her own path and build a future, even if hers is coming to an end. The memory continues with Michelle's sister offering words of comfort and encouragement. She talks about the power of words, comparing it to magic, and says Michelle can proudly consider herself a genius. She urges her to believe in herself, saying one day she will walk with confidence and shine. With affection, she embraces her and declares that, above all, Michelle is her most precious little sister. Exhausted and without magical energy, Michelle falls to her knees, acknowledging that her power is completely depleted. In despair and helplessness before the approaching enemy, she remembers her sister's words, feeling she has failed her. Overwhelmed by feelings of uselessness, she laments not being strong enough to protect others. Seeing Michelle on the verge of collapse, Ashley calls her to reason, reminding her of her genius. At that moment, Lena appears with a quick and precise attack, opening space against the threat. She runs to Michelle, grabs her hand, and pulls her strongly, relieved to see her well. United, the two retreat while facing the pressure of the advancing enemy. Daisuke appears wielding a heavy machine gun and orders everyone to stay behind him. Thanks to the protection of the others, he managed to finish his preparations. With the equipment ready and all systems checked, he thanks everyone emotionally, prepared to face the enemy with everything. With the monster advancing, Lena warns Daisuke, who immediately orders the weapon to be readied. When the creature approaches swiftly, Daisuke shouts the final command. Then he and Lena open fire with the heavy machine gun, starting the counterattack. Daisuke unloads a barrage of bullets on the Hydra, causing severe visible damage. The creature begins to shatter under the impact. Michelle watches, shocked by the offensive power, while Lena actively participates in the attack. The force of the weapon surprises even the most experienced. Daisuke continues the attack with the heavy machine gun while encouraging Michelle, telling her she has a future and doesn't need to pressure herself so much. He insists he won't let that future be taken from her. His words, along with the memory of her sister, rekindle hope in Michelle, who watches silently. Daisuke keeps firing the M2 Browning machine gun, a heavy weapon created by the legendary designer Browning. He explains that, although the weapon is fixed on a pedestal and cannot be moved, its ability to fire 12.7 by 99mm NATO anti-tank rounds in sequence makes it extremely powerful. Daisuke's determination is clear, as he trusts the weapon's power to protect his allies. The group notices the Hydra has begun to rapidly regenerate its wounds, impressing even the most experienced. Daisuke is surprised by the machine gun's ability to fire continuously, while the others discuss the creature's only weakness. Despite having 7 heads, only one is the true head. They conclude that attacking the wrong heads is useless, and finding the true one is essential to defeat it before full regeneration. The group finally identifies the Hydra's true head, that one which is intact, without any scratches, located at the back. They deduce the creature has used the other heads as shields until now. With this revelation, Daisuke declares he will aim the machine gun at it, hoping to hit the vital spot and end the creature once and for all. Michelle, though exhausted and without magic energy, manages to gather some power again. Determined, she positions herself with her magic staff and concentrates the remaining energy. While Lena watches worriedly, Michelle expresses her conviction. There is something she can still do. Her determination marks an emotional turning point in the battle, revealing she will not give up. Daisuke interrupts his attack with the M2 Browning after running out of ammunition. He needs to reload immediately, but the weapon is extremely hot due to intense use. While handling it, he burns his hands, revealing the risks of overheating. A technical explanation is given. Each shot heats the weapon's body and barrel, and continuous use can temporarily disable it. At this critical moment, the weapon must cool down before continuing. Michelle offers her glove to help Daisuke deal with the machine gun's overheating. He thanks her and prepares to continue. Meanwhile, the monster starts emitting steam and making strange gestures. The little rat observes and recognizes something unusual in that movement. Suddenly, the creature initiates an unexpected action, which causes the rat to panic upon realizing something dangerous is about to happen. The monster releases a powerful burst of flaming energy toward the group, leaving Daisuke and Michelle stunned by the attack's strength. Both react with shocked and worried expressions. The explosion advances violently, creating a wave of destruction that spreads across the battlefield, raising the tension even more. Michelle raises a powerful magical barrier called Shining Wall at the last moment, protecting everyone from the devastating explosion caused by the Hydra's attack. Exhausted, she admits having used all the magical energy she had gathered, and that she won't be able to cast another spell anytime soon. Despite this, everyone congratulates her on her heroic feat. Daisuke praises Michelle for her bravery, saying she did a great job. The girl smiles excitedly upon hearing her name, clearly moved by the recognition. With the weapon reloaded and ready, Daisuke prepares to fire again, now aiming directly at the Hydra's main head, which has finally been identified. Daisuke shouts with determination and opens fire with the M2 Browning, unleashing a barrage of bullets directly at the Hydra. The deafening sound of gunfire echoes as the projectiles tear through the battlefield. The monsters' heads are violently hit, with shards and blood spraying everywhere, marking the direct impact of the offensive against the true target. Daisuke keeps firing without hesitation, but the Hydra begins adapting, protecting its main head with the others. The cannon's attacks are intense, but the creature resists, regenerating at an alarming speed. Even under pressure, Daisuke refuses to let it escape, determined to keep focus on the true target as the situation becomes increasingly critical. The battle intensifies as the Hydra, even after regenerating its heads, immediately uses them as shields. Daisuke continues shooting relentlessly, aware he can't give the creature a second of rest. Michelle notices the monster is about to unleash its powerful attack again. Meanwhile, Daisuke, focused, recognizes the importance of the M2 Browning, a reliable weapon used for almost a century, whose structure has barely changed due to its unmatched effectiveness. Daisuke keeps firing without hesitation, convinced the M2 Browning is powerful enough to break through the Hydra's defense. As smoke and recoil dominate the field, he maintains full focus on the target, determined not to leave openings for the monster's counterattack. Despite the warning about weapon overheating, Daisuke insists on continuing to fire. The M2 Browning emits smoke and steam, pushed to its limits, while the Hydra's heads keep being shredded by the relentless bullets. Even at risk, he does not back down. Continuous shots from the M2 Browning pierce through the Hydra's rows of heads, clearing a path to the true one. The projectiles violently pierce flesh and scales. The creature roars in pain, finally hit in its vital spot. The machine gun's final burst hits the Hydra's true head directly. The creature is consumed by a colossal explosion, with shockwaves and smoke filling the battlefield. The fighters watch silently as the monster begins to disintegrate, finally defeated. With the Hydra finally defeated, the allies watch silently, overwhelmed with disbelief. Daisuke stands firm, his expression serious before the destruction he caused. His companions, moved by the magnitude of the feat, recognize the greatness of his courage and skill. The victory is clear, but what impresses most is the man who made it possible. After the devastating explosion, the Hydra's carcass lies charred and dismembered. The group approaches the creature's remains, relieved by the victory. Michelle celebrates excitedly, while Daisuke confirms the attack hit the true head in time. Relief fills the air, and everyone acknowledges the decisive role of the M2 Browning in ending the battle. With the Hydra's threat finally neutralized, the group breathes a sigh of relief, seeing everyone safe. Despite the destruction around, the mood is one of gratitude and relief. However, the enchanted rat indignantly reminds that he is still trapped in his animal form, causing laughter and lightness at the battle's close. With the fight over, the group turns to resolve the last pending issue, Ashley's animal form. Nervously positioned in the center of a magic circle, he follows instructions as the mage begins the reversal spell. Energy begins to gather, signaling the start of the restoration process. After the intense battle, the group reflects on the mission's initial goal, finding clues about Oliver. Lena regrets that, despite all the effort and destruction, no concrete information was discovered. Daisuke shows signs of fatigue while others share the frustration. However, a comment catches Michelle's attention, who, upon noticing something in the environment, interrupts the conversation with a surprising revelation about the room. With the battle over, the room begins restoring itself thanks to a powerful restoration magic. Everyone watches in surprise as the walls and structures return to normal. To the group's joy, Ashley's transformation is also reversed, returning him to human form. Tension gives way to relief and a lighter mood as the mage celebrates the magic's success and jokes about her new look. With the situation under control, the group explores the restored surroundings. Daisuke, relieved Ashley is back to normal, calls Lena to check something. After a group leap through a magic portal, they discover a new hidden room inside the treasure chamber, awakening everyone's curiosity. The group enters a secret room full of real treasures and equipment, quite different from the fake items in the previous room. Daisuke recalls his childhood upon seeing the place, while Ashley warns not to touch anything, fearing activating another trap. Lena notices some equipment is missing. indicating others had completed that challenge before them. The group concludes that the equipment scattered around the room are remains of adventurers who passed through before. Lena, remembering the person she's looking for, suspects he was also in that place. Meanwhile, she watches a sword closely, filled with thoughts about possible clues left behind. Lena immediately recognizes the sword before her as Oliver's. She confirms his name is engraved, indicating he passed through, left his old equipment, and managed to move forward. With relief and emotion, she holds the sword to her chest and expresses her happiness, knowing Oliver as well. The group concludes that each person faces a different test inside the dungeon, suggesting Oliver also overcame his own challenge. With confirmation he was there, they decide to leave using a magic circle. Lena, relieved and excited, follows the others out of the dungeon. The group returns to the surface, relieved to be under the open sky again. They decide to relax until the ship arrives. While some want to rest in the tent, Daisuke gets excited for it being Saturday and temporarily says goodbye to the others. While enjoying rest at the camp, the characters talk about how a magical equipment works that accumulates energy in exchange for the user's endurance. Despite being powerful, it can cause extreme exhaustion. Lena calmly hangs clothes, contrasting with the tactical topic of conversation. The group enjoys a meal outdoors, savoring fresh grilled meat. Everyone is surprised by the flavor, highlighting the contrast with the dry food they used to eat. Lena and the others praise the sauce used, emphasizing the relaxed moment after the intense adventure. Daisuke takes over the grill enthusiastically, compared to a skewer vendor. While organizing the meat and encouraging others to eat vegetables, everyone enjoys the laid-back atmosphere. He celebrates the moment with a cold beer, praising the refreshing taste. While Daisuke savors a cold alcoholic drink, Michelle tries soda for the first time. Surprised by the bubbly sensation, she reacts with astonishment, provoking laughter from Daisuke. The group has fun discovering the power of carbonated drinks. While watching the horizon, Michelle expresses gratitude for having found a clue about someone important to her. Beside her, Lena confirms with an emotional smile, reflecting the relief and hope she carries in her heart. A huge gargoyle invades the city, causing panic among the residents. While everyone runs to protect themselves, a young man tries to act alone but is warned about the danger. Still, a warrior steps forward to face the threat, determined to protect the civilians. A mysterious knight appears amid the battle and defeats the gargoyle with a single blow, leaving everyone stunned. The residents, surprised by his strength, wonder who that hooded warrior might be. With a devastating strike, the knight completely destroys the enemies around him, showing overwhelming power. He faces the chaos with coldness and disdain, considering the gargoyle a weak opponent unworthy of his strength. The people watch scared, unable to understand who this dark and powerful figure is. Even after saving the village, the knight remains indifferent to the residents' thanks. His only interest is finding someone who called himself the Salaried. His cold and direct stance reveals that his personal mission is above any sense of heroism. While the village fills with life with the festival, Oliver walks among the stalls beside Lena. She calls him excitedly to move forward, and he, smiling, assures her they won't miss the event. The atmosphere is light and joyful, with musical performances starting on the main stage, delighting everyone present. The girl responds with enthusiasm and joy, running excitedly under the festival lights. Her smile conveys the lightness of the moment, reflecting the festive atmosphere and the innocence of childhood. Lena watches a child interacting with her mother and silently approaches Oliver, hugging him tightly. In that affectionate gesture, she reveals that she never met her parents but says it's okay, showing maturity and acceptance. Oliver, moved, asks if she feels lonely. Lena happily states that she does not feel alone because Oliver is by her side. The tender moment between them is interrupted by urgent news. Goblins attacked a nearby village, causing an uproar among the residents and demanding an immediate response. Oliver acts quickly upon learning of the attack and grabs a torch, determined to face the threat to protect the village. Despite the villagers' concerns about safety during the festival, he insists on acting. Firmly, he asks Lena to stay hidden, aware of the danger ahead. The goblins invade the village, attacking fiercely. Oliver, armed only with a torch, advances determinedly against the enemies. Despite being outnumbered, he faces the group courageously, engaging in direct combat. The fight begins intense and violent, with Oliver retaliating with all his strength. Oliver continues bravely fighting the goblins, attacking with his flaming torch. Lena watches the scene, scared. One goblin rushes screaming, but Oliver repels him with a precise blow. The fight intensifies, with Oliver knocking down several enemies. A goblin prepares to counterattack furiously, but Oliver remains firm, determined to protect everyone. Oliver executes a powerful spinning strike that pushes all goblins around him away. Then, he faces the defeated enemies and orders them to return to the forest. The goblins, frightened, retreat quickly. Oliver then declares he doesn't intend to fight without reason, making clear he will only react if provoked. Lena runs to Oliver and hugs him emotionally for being okay. With the situation under control, Oliver assures the goblins won't return anytime soon. A villager praises his bravery, assuming he is a knight. Inspired, Lena asks to learn sword fighting, saying she wants to become a kind and strong swordswoman like him. Lena begins her training with Oliver, showing dedication and focus as she wields the sword. They exchange blows in an open field, and Oliver instructs her never to lose sight of her opponent and to predict their next move. He praises her progress, strengthening the girl's confidence on her journey to become a strong swordswoman. Lena advances determinedly during training, exchanging intense blows with Oliver. Even breathless and sweaty, she keeps focus, surprising him with her evolution. At the end of the match, Oliver smiles and sincerely congratulates her. Good job! Lena's expression mixes exhaustion and pride, showing her progress as a swordswoman. During a training break, Lena confesses her insecurity. She fears she won't be able to truly fight if a monster attacks her. Oliver, with a serene smile, shares his wisdom. He admits feeling fear too, explaining that courage is not the absence of fear, but acting despite it. To him, the truly brave are those who fear but still protect others, because they know what is at stake. His words deeply touch Lena, renewing her determination. Oliver continues his lesson for Lena, saying that more important than wielding a sword with the hands is carrying it in the heart. He explains that by holding a sword in the heart, courage naturally awakens, even in the face of difficulties. Lena shows surprise and curiosity at the concept, but listens carefully when Oliver says this inner sword speaks to him, and that he is its master. Inspired, Lena begins to understand that true strength comes from within. Alone in her room at night, Lena stays awake, still thinking about Oliver's words. Determined, she stares at the ceiling with eyes shining with conviction and, from the bottom of her heart, makes a silent request. Sword, give me strength. This moment marks the awakening of her inner courage, signaling she is ready to move forward and become stronger. In the morning, Lena wakes up excited after dreaming about Oliver. While stretching in her tent, she is greeted by a companion who notices her good mood. She comments it really was a good morning. Still sleepy, another companion is called to wake up. Lena and her companions discuss Oliver's whereabouts. They conclude he was on the island to get equipment, but no one saw him leaving. To follow his trail, they would need to cross the Cayman Strait to the port of Dokaiwan, as returning directly to the continent would be difficult. The group decides where to go next, and Michelle confirms she will follow. She shows interest in Daisuke's mysterious weapons. Lena, determined, promises to catch up with Oliver and boards a ship, saying she is already on her way. Meanwhile, Daisuke is at a specialty store, fascinated by a Mark 46 Mod 0 machine gun. He is impressed by the weapon's details, like weight, mechanism movement, and the possibility to disassemble the barrel. Excited, he seriously considers buying it, even though it costs over 150,000 yen. The group arrives at the port of Dokaiwan and hears about the Hataya Temple, famous for its accurate predictions. Lena considers consulting the temple's priestess to find out Oliver's whereabouts. Upon arrival, she is received by the priestess and prepares to hear her fortune. During the ritual, the Hataya Temple priestess declares herself a messenger from heaven, reciting mystical words about the elements of nature. In a trance, she prophesies that Lena must become Stacia, marking the beginning of a greater destiny. Lena, Michelle, and the elf arrive at the busy port of Dokaiwan. Amid the bustle of sailors and merchants, they disembark determined, ready to take the next step on their journey. The group arrives at Hataya Shrine and witnesses surprisingly accurate predictions made by the priestess, impressing everyone. Convinced of the prophecy's effectiveness, Lena and her companions are led to a private session, but upon entering, they find the room empty. Inside the empty room, a mysterious woman suddenly appears and surprises a group member by grabbing and closely examining him. The situation unsettles everyone until another priestess enters and questions who the newcomer is. The young woman who surprised the group introduces herself as Stacia, the temple's priestess. After apologizing for her impulsive behavior, she offers help, offering her gifts to find lost people or objects. Lena then reveals her true wish. She wants Stacia to find someone important to her. During the ritual, Stacia asks Lena to close her eyes and visualize the person she wants to find. Suddenly, a sword appears in the place, with great energy, interrupting the process. Alarmed, a man bursts into the room announcing something serious, while one of the girls reacts surprised at the sword's appearance, questioning its origin. A horde of monsters attacks the sanctuary's entrance. In response, Donan, commander of the 2nd Regiment of the Imperial Army of Gurnia, appears wielding his sword and taking command. He states he came to investigate the sanctuary, not as a client, but as military authority. Stacia comments on the accuracy of his predictions, and Donan acknowledges the effectiveness of the divinations made there. Donan reveals that, according to the Empire of Gurnia, the temple uses the powers of a dragon to perform divinations. Despite objections, he suspects the remains of an ancient dragon are hidden at the site. Without hesitation, he orders goblins to invade the temple and retrieve the remains, stating it is a direct decree from the Emperor. Lena takes action and, with a quick sword strike, defeats the advancing goblins. Determined, she confronts Donan and his soldiers, demanding they stop the invasion and leave the temple immediately. Donan, enraged by the resistance, orders a full attack against the group. Lena, Michelle, and the others prepare for battle. However, a new colossal enemy appears. A huge ogre enters the scene, surprising everyone with its intimidating presence. The group faces a giant cyclops, whose strength and defense are enormous. Despite low intelligence, it causes destruction easily. One of the characters quickly identifies its weak points, the eye and the horn. Even facing danger, they prepare to attack. The group struggles to approach the Cyclops due to its devastating strength. At the height of the tension, an unexpected figure appears amid the smoke. Daisuke arrives with a casual greeting, surprising everyone present. Daisuke encounters the Cyclops and panics upon realizing the creature's size. Despite being confused by the situation, he receives instructions to attack the monster's weak points, the eye and the horn. While some notice something special about him, Daisuke tries to approach but is violently thrown away, barely escaping a fatal blow. While others doubt his usefulness, Daisuke draws a futuristic weapon and surprises everyone by facing the monster without a sword. Determined, he aims at the Cyclops and fires, proving he is not as pathetic as they thought. Daisuke hits a direct shot to the Cyclops' eye, striking its weak point and causing great pain. The enemies watch in shock as he calmly reloads his weapon, ready for the next attack. Daisuke finishes the Cyclops with a precise shot, destroying its head amid an explosion. The impact is so devastating that the creature is thrown back, falling defeated before everyone's astonishment. The Cyclops collapses down the stairs, causing panic among the Imperial soldiers, who try to flee the imminent fall. The creature crashes violently against the ground, leaving a trail of destruction. Daisuke watches the impact serenely, while the stunned enemies question how a single man and an unknown weapon could defeat such a powerful monster. Daisuke reveals the weapon used to defeat the Cyclops is an M320A1 grenade launcher, originally designed as an accessory for assault rifles like the M4. However, by using a special mount, he transforms it into an independent single-shot weapon. Impressed and suspicious, the Imperial soldiers demand to know who he really is, while Daisuke tries to downplay his feat, keeping the mystery about his identity. Daisuke finally reveals his identity confidently. Kyoga Daisuke, a simple salaryman. The soldiers and those present react with surprise and confusion at the title, but one soon recognizes him as the legendary Golem Slayer, increasing the mystery and admiration around him. The soldiers are stunned by Daisuke's ordinary appearance, disbelieving he is the legendary Golem Slayer. Still, the commander, irritated and embarrassed, orders his capture, inciting the guards to prove themselves by capturing him. The soldiers move to capture Daisuke, but the warrior intervenes, stopping the attack. The battle intensifies with allies reacting quickly. An elf warrior aims at the enemy commander, and the mage begins a climate spell. Despite the enemy's numerical advantage, the goblins are ordered to regroup and reinforce the defense. The mage casts a powerful ice spell, freezing several goblins. Facing imminent defeat, the enemy commander realizes his troops are insufficient. He recognizes the presence of the salaryman and orders urgent contact with the main force. Daisuke trusts Lena to handle the situation. Meanwhile, the enemy commander sees a chance to gain fame by capturing the salaryman and orders the release of dangerous creatures, ignoring warnings that they are still untamed and attack anyone indiscriminately. The wild creatures are released from their cages and rampage uncontrollably, causing immediate chaos. The soldiers try to fend them off, but are quickly overwhelmed. The population watches scared as a black swarm covers the forest, leaving everyone confused about what is to come. Monstrous birds emerge from the skies, attacking civilians and soldiers with impressive violence and speed. They are identified as killer birds, highly aggressive creatures that do not distinguish targets. Lena reacts quickly, protecting those present and cutting one of the monsters precisely, though she recognizes the enemy's surprising speed. The killer birds continue their brutal attack, dominating the skies in large numbers. The warriors struggle to reach them due to altitude, and the monsters attack indiscriminately, injuring allies and enemies. Chaos ensues, and even experienced soldiers are overwhelmed, while civilians run in panic, begging for help. Amid the chaos, Daisuke appears again with his technological weapon and shoots down several killer birds, saving civilians and gaining the admiration of those present. A young man thanks him emotionally, while Daisuke proceeds with precision and coldness. The enemies, shocked, recognize once more the use of his strange technology. Lena watches him with relief and admiration, calling his name enthusiastically. Daisuke reveals his new weapon, the Remington M870 shotgun. He confidently explains it is the most popular in the world, widely used by civilians, police, and military. Ideal against fast beasts, the weapon shows its effectiveness by taking down one of the killer birds. With coldness and precision, Daisuke reloads and concludes that, as expected, it is extremely efficient. Daisuke continues his explanation about firearms, now detailing the different types of shotgun ammunition. He mentions that shotguns, originally used for hunting, have varied cartridges depending on the purpose. He presents the bird shot, composed of small metal pellets, ideal for birds and small targets. However, he notes that there are even more powerful ammunitions, something necessary when a killer bird larger than the others appears, advancing aggressively. Daisuke switches the shotgun's ammunition to buckshot and hits a large killer bird threatening a fallen ally. He explains that this type of cartridge is used against medium targets, like deer, as it contains projectiles larger than those of birdshot. Even when hit, the bird survives and prepares to attack again, putting the allies on alert. Daisuke fires a slug projectile at the killer bird, causing enormous destruction. He explains that this ammunition, unlike buckshot, contains a single solid bullet with high destructive power and penetration, capable even of piercing concrete. The bird is violently thrown back, and he concludes that this ammunition is ideal against large beasts. Daisuke takes control of the situation, asking everyone to take shelter while he deals with the monsters. The guards and civilians are impressed by his strength, admiring his ability to defeat the creatures with a single shot. Meanwhile, civilians run inside the sanctuary, guided by local girls. Daisuke keeps shooting precisely, protecting the group's rear and keeping the monsters at bay. Inside the sanctuary, Daisuke instructs civilians to remain calm, but warns that the battle outside continues. As he prepares to return to the fight, a young woman interrupts him, asking if he knows the knight. Upon confirming he does, the girl reveals something important. Lena's sword is special. During the battle, Lena reveals she is at the temple performing divinations to find the special sword and its true wielder. Meanwhile, a soldier runs to report that the salaryman appeared and is facing Captain Donan, urgently requesting reinforcements due to the battle's intensity. The powerful masked warrior finally enters the scene, eager to test the salaryman's strength. Meanwhile, Lena shows great combat skill, easily defeating enemy soldiers, who are shocked by her strength and recognize they stand no chance against her. Enemy soldiers descend the stairs in formation, but are brutally surprised by an explosion that throws them into the air. Lena stands firm, ready to face the next enemies appearing before her. Amid the smoke left by the explosion, an imposing and dark figure emerges, a knight in black armor wielding a colossal blade. The enemy commander retreats, surprised and scared upon recognizing the newcomer, Zol, whose unexpected presence shocks him. Zol advances imposing, ignoring allies in his path and demanding passage. Lena and the others watch with suspicion and surprise, not knowing who the mysterious knight is. Determined, he asks a single question that echoes intensely. Where is the salaryman? Zol, the Black Knight, asserts himself before all, his dark armor shining under daylight. His gaze is fixed on one goal, to find the salaryman. Lena watches silently, impressed by the threatening presence of a warrior wrapped in mystery and power. Zol, a mysterious swordsman who appeared in the Empire a few months ago, quickly rose through the ranks with extraordinary skills, awakening envy and fear. While some feel resentment for being overshadowed, others are struck by a dark premonition upon his presence. Intrigued, Lena wonders why such a powerful warrior would be looking for Daisuke specifically. Zol, the Black Knight, continues advancing determinedly, demanding to know where the salaryman is. His intimidating presence creates tension among everyone. Meanwhile, Lena watches with concern, confused about why so much interest centers on Daisuke. The atmosphere intensifies, and everyone senses something big is about to happen. Zol confronts Lena, demanding to know where the salaryman is and questioning her intentions with him. Even facing intimidation, Lena refuses to answer and declares she will not let him get close. Irritated, Zol launches an attack, starting a direct confrontation. Lena and Zol engage in a direct and intense duel. They clash swords with force, and the tension is reflected in Lena's determined expression as she faces the relentless advance of the Black Knight. The impact of their blows resonates, showing their high skill level. Lena is completely pressured by Zol, barely able to defend against his incessant attacks. Her companions watch worriedly, realizing she has no room to counterattack. Given the gravity of the situation, Lena decides to use her skills to create an opening and turn the tide. Lena finally finds a gap and delivers a powerful blow that throws Zol into the air. The force of the attack surprises everyone, and her companions react with relief and astonishment to see she managed to turn the tide despite the disadvantage. The young mage decides to act and unleashes all her power. Determined, she casts a light spell, concentrating several sources into a single devastating attack. Light Arrow. A powerful beam of luminous energy is fired precisely, crossing the battlefield with impressive speed, promising to change the course of the fight. The light spell is fired at full strength, but Zol easily repels the attack, dispersing the energy as if it were nothing. Amid the destruction caused, he arrogantly declares that no type of magic works against him. The revelation shakes the allies, who panic and begin to retreat, fearing they too might be hit. Zol grabs Lai Damar by the collar and lifts him easily, recognizing the presence of the old acquaintance. The Black Knight mocks him, calling him weak for submitting to a child's leadership. Amid the humiliation, Lai Damar feels an unmistakable aura, the same as Zol's. The tension rises, revealing a deeper connection between the two. Michelle reveals shocking information about Zol. He is not just a common warrior, but someone who lived in the era of the ancient magical civilization, just like her. According to her, in combat, there is no warrior stronger than Zol, and facing him is suicide. Therefore, she warns severely, anyone who values their life should not fight him. Zol is known as the Warrior King. Zol advances relentlessly, even after combined attacks. His dominant presence and overwhelming power leave the opponents in despair. Lena tries another attack, while Michelle watches, aware they have only managed to delay the enemy's advance. Lena attacks determinedly, but Zol dodges with surprising agility, even wearing heavy armor. He criticizes her technique and easily repels her, demonstrating full control of the combat.